today's book was written by a lady named Fiona Barnett. So Fiona has an interesting story. Now, I'm gonna let y'all know right now. Lots of trigger warnings. Like this entire thing is a trigger warning. Okay? Like it's a lot in here. I will say for so she's writing a book about kind of what she went through. And so what she went through was being born into a pedophilic family, and she was trafficked around on multiple continents to a lot of people of note.
Hey, bro, was this written before Eyes Wide Shut came out?
No, it was afterwards. So I think she modeled her title off of the movie. Yeah. So no, it wasn't before. So I think like her thing is what she went through was a lot of shit you see in that movie. It was a lot of ritualistic shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why I was asking because it sounded like describing it like you just did and based off title, it sounds, eerily similar.
Yeah, it is. Um, you know what? I was going Yeah, I guess we'll just hop straight to it. That's fine. So yeah, it's yeah, it's just like it's one big trigger warning. Let me put it like that. All right. So we definitely gonna need a moment of positivity when we get done with this one. Okay. Um. So but the thing is, it's not just about pedophilia per se, right? It's some there are a lot of intersections with like in how the pedophilia manifests. Like you'll be surprised kind of where it takes you, and that's pretty fucking wild to say. All right, so yeah, so we're not gonna read the whole book. The whole book is really long. It's like 300 some pages. I think it's like 400 pages actually, but there are lots of stuff in it that I definitely want to touch on. A lot of the stuff we talked about, a lot of this stuff we've covered it before, and so the book, as I was kind of reading through it, it was um, it was like, yo, we talked about this, we did a cook on this, we did a cook on that, we talked about this, we talked about that, and so it serves as like a really really good refresher course. Okay. um like for anybody that missed any of the actual cooks, like the book will serve as one, a refresher course for stuff we talked about. Two, she talks about a lot of conspiracies, a lot. Okay, everything we talk about she talked about in this book, right? So um yeah, it's pretty wild. Okay.
Anything specific that stuck out to you?
Ooh, anything specific that stuck out? So as I look through it, the common thread of a lot of shit that we talk about, like all these different fucking conspiracies and shit, was the fact that the people involved um were connected into the pedophile world, right? That's what I mean by just looking at all the different conspiracies that she was talking about and the people involved. Like it all led back to a lot of the same entities, right? And organizations and behaviors and practices. So I thought that was interesting. Um, so yeah, so I think that kind of stood out to me, bro. Right. So we'll, you know what? The first thing we'll do is we'll let her kind of tell you about her experiences here. Let me move some of this stuff off. Um, all right. So what's the name of it? Okay. So this is kind of where she came from. So she got really famous, um, just telling her story. Okay, so this is kind of how her story goes. So this is Fiona Barnett herself, just kind of telling you a little bit about like where she came from. Mm.
I was an unwilling member of a coven, which was part of a greater crime syndicate, which involved drugs, guns, and sex trafficking, including child sex trafficking, human trafficking.
So you were an unwitting part of that coven?
Yes, absolutely. I was signed up from before my birth.
Well, absolutely. You didn't sign up if it was before.
I did not sign up. So it was like being born into the mafia, but never actually volunteering to be a member. But the same rules apply for leaving. You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave. Like Hotel California song.
So who signed you up?
My grandparent, Helen Holovchik. Helena Miloweska or Helena Holozak, Holovchik, whatever you want to say. Yeah.
So it was her initiation, do you think?
Yes.
And what about her partner, Peter? What was his involvement?
My step-grandfather. He was involved heavily. He did the dirty work.
What was his role in your life?
He was to abuse me. For people involved in ritual abuse and mind control, you must also sexually abuse them, so that if they do remember anything, they'll remember the sexual abuse and the pedophilia, and they'll go, everyone will say, well, that's what was wrong. And they don't go any further, any deeper than that.
Oh, so the pedophilia is almost
a
safe...
It's a cover. It's a red herring.
For the mind control?
For the real bad stuff. Not just mind control, the ritual abuse, the Satanism, satanic ritual abuse.
So what she said, I thought was interesting too, Mark. What she says, dude, this ain't even about pedophilia, right? The pedophilia is a step in the process, right? Like what it's really about is the rituals that they do. You know what I mean?
Have you tied it into what she just, honestly, like when you dig deep into it, what she just described to me is MK Ultra, as in like
Bro, it's entire chapters around MK Ultra in here. Like that's what
yeah.
she
So like
ties a lot of this shit to. Yeah.
that's what the fuck they do. So like uh knowing a little bit about psychology, because it's not like I know a lot, but I ain't about to say that shit. So like for instance, when little kids like are torn from war, they asked them to draw homes. This was like a psychological experiment a while ago, like World War II or something. And the ones that were really, really fucked up by having to move around in war would draw spirals. So when you take it into this arena, they kind of do the
Yo,
same
what is
thing.
that noise in the back? What
Frog.
is that?
I'm outside. You know I'm down south, cuz. But yeah,
Oh,
it's a big
those are that's insects?
it's a frog, bro. I don't know where
Bruh.
he is, but it's a big ass frog. But yeah, like that's what they do. They'll sexually abuse them, and then like it fragments their mind, and then they plant shit. So literally, what she just said, they'll plant like let's say you're supposed to become a fucking MI6 agent or something. Like that's what MK Ultra is. They'll give you some kind of abuse, usually like sexual abuse, and then plug you with ideas. So if you ever get found out, you never go back to default. Your default is sexual abuse. So they can't really go any farther than that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like literally what she said, yeah, it's kind of fucking wild. So this means the whole pedophile ring we got going on is just some surface level shit. And that's wild to think about to me.
Yeah, literally, right? So remember we talked about MK Ultra and they talked about like the sexually abusing the children was a way to literally fragment their minds. Right? So to make them programmable. So the abuse isn't abuse just for the sake of abuse, right? Kind of like what we're talking about. It's to prepare people to be programmable, right? And so it's a practice that they do with children, but on real talk, they do it on the public as well. Like all the trauma that we see is like they put that shit in front of us all the time to make us programmable too. You know what I mean? So no, it's a thing. It's a thing. All right. So yeah. Remember, this is one big, like, everything we talk about is gonna be some wild shit here today. Because remember, we're talking about uh somebody who was sex trafficked as a child. So she's Australian. So she was born in Australia, and she was trafficked in Australia, Europe, and America, like, to some very powerful people. Okay, so yeah. All right. So yeah, that was her. So we'll get to the book. So this is part of the introduction. Um, so it was something interesting in the introduction that I thought was pretty cool. It says, so this is a quote by Anne McDonald. The worst thing about being an inspiration is that you have to be perfect. I thought that was funny. But it says, Eyes Wide Open is not a biography as such, and descriptive dialogue is limited. Consider it more a reference book designed to meet three distinct aims: provide the relevant historical basis for understanding the existence and cover up of CIA child trafficking, ritual abuse, and mind control. Okay? So that's in the first sentence. So she goes straight to mind control, MK Ultra, right? Um, Document my personal experience of abuse in Australia and the USA. And three, offer information for combating the techniques which cults, the military, and intelligence agencies use to artificially induce disassociation and achieve radical and strategic behavior modification. More MK Ultra. I explain the nature of trauma-based forced disassociation, including the victim selection process, why most therapy is ineffective, and why a trauma-focused integration approach is essential. Okay. So again, more like she is always talking about, or she consistently goes back to the MK Ultra aspect of it. All right. So it says my testimony is scaffolded by the extraordinary research of Steve McMurray, who assembled the jigsaw of faces, places, and relationships I recalled and relayed. Steve's work features mainly in the chapter MK Ultra in Australia. This book would not exist, and my integration would not have been as thorough without Steve's research and efforts. Um, let's see. What else? It says the following publications provide preliminary understandings of ritual abuse and mind control, which my books build upon. So it talks about some books that I guess Steve wrote. Okay. All right, cool. So let's get to some chapters. Where we at?
Hey,
Uh,
before you go, bro,
yeah.
so they do have like you can go look up experiments, not experiments, but like we'll say evaluations, like psychological evaluations. You might find this interesting because I know you like psychology. Uh, where they actually talk to people with ritual abuse and like go through it. So one of the interesting things I think, dog, is that adults and children tend to exhibit the same fucking things. Like for instance, when I saw the adults and the kids would draw themselves in cages, um, and like they would both have like people coming into these rooms when they were in cages, and they'd be like telling them shit or like, and like these were just drawings, bro. And then one of the things I do see translated into like real world for us, like the public at large, is like they draw shattered glass, like a shattered psyche. They be drawing like shattered pieces of glass, bro, with like different like parts of them in glass and shit. It's wild as fuck. But we see a lot of that in like entertainment that we watch, like music videos, TVs. We see a lot of like people might be staring into a mirror or some shit, and then the glass shatters, like their psyche, like MK Ultra type shit. That's just what I think. But hey,
So I think you're right. I think a lot of the imagery becomes consistent with people that go through this stuff, right? Yeah. I think you're right about that. Um, let's see. All right, so this is on page 3. So this is kind of one of the stories she opens up with. So this is pretty early in the book. This is like page 3. So if you just got here, we're talking about the book um, Eyes Wide Open by Fiona Barnett. She's talking about what she went through being kind of sex trafficked as a kid to a lot of people. And so here, this passage starts off. Um, My Gold Coast hogtie doctor story went international, with pediatrician Neville Davis being banned from practicing medicine in Australia, although that doesn't stop him from setting up shop in Thailand. My story on Gary Willis' 18-year child abuse spree ended with a life ban on his teaching for the NSW Education Department. I think that's in Australia, right? Although that didn't stop him working for the Queensland Education Department. My story on Duroc Government Boys Home forced reluctant NSW police and 60 Minutes agents, journalists, to conduct a mop-up investigation. I broke the Duroc story on my blog and negotiated it into mainstream news. Sensational headlines about a victim having his penis cut off went global. Police and the media charged multiple low-level perpetrators, and 60 Minutes falsely presented the story as exclusive. Police and media conspired to bury the crux of the Duroc story, that it was a recruitment center for boys, used to service ASIO's human compromise operation. ASIO is, I think, Australia, right? Australia's secret investigative operation, some shit like that. And B, Project Ultra lab rats. Journalists may print all sorts of child abuse information except that which exposes the global child trafficking operation. I had come so close. My October 2015 press conference, delivered in response to Senator Bill Heffernan's announcement that a former prime minister was a pedophile, was statistically the most popular story on the Sydney Morning Herald website that day, although the news site's computer technicians prevented it from displaying as the most viewed article. Another of Prime Minister Bob Hawke's sex assault victims, the daughter of Hawke's architect, Kevin Borland, agreed to address a follow-up press conference with me, but pulled out the last minute. Somebody can say something? The USA National Enquirer intended to run a front page story about Anthony Kidman being a pedophile until they received a vicious legal threat from his daughter, Nicole Kidman. A journalist and her photographer husband flew up from Sydney to interview me for a major Australian magazine until Nicole Kidman took a Scientology approach to managing me. And a UK journalist traveled around the country interviewing me and 2 other victims of Anthony Kidman for the Daily Mail, until one of the victims, whose parents were friends with Kidman, was threatened and subsequently withdrew his permission at the last minute. Nicole Kidman's PR team shut down my mainstream exposure by drawing on her lucrative contracts with Australia's media outlets. So I turned to the internet, armed with a simple meme app and a right brain talent for lyric writing. I launched my own social media campaign. I spent 5 years in front of a computer communicating with hundreds of victims and supporters, many fake, many genuine. I hit the conspiracy theory jackpot when David Icke featured an enormous photograph of me in my story during his Australian speaking tour. My tactics worked. Online articles about Nicole Kidman, where the public was free to leave negative comments, were followed by streams of intelligent attacks on her heavily orchestrated stardom. I realized my impact when Kidman's PR team paid the Daily Mail plus a morning television show to feature an article tellingly titled, "Shame on You, Australia. Stop hating on Nicole Kidman." People don't hate Nicole Kidman as an individual. They hate what the Harvey Weinstein scandal subsequently highlighted, that Hollywood rewards something other than an ability to sing, dance, or act. Despite having the pedophile network threw at me, my story still got out there, such that if you Google Anthony Kidman, name the words. Oh, if you Google Anthony Kidman's name, the words child abuse soon follow. Yet no amount of alternative media success can match a complete break into mainstream news. So I admitted defeat. I stopped posting and did not bother checking my blog sites. So that's her talking about how she was the one. Remember when Nicole Kidman's dad, like it was a big thing on the internet? That was her trying to push that shit out there. You know what I'm saying? That was her trying to push that shit out there. Like she was trying to get the word out that, yo, his dad, like her dad, was one of them people. Okay? And she was saying that, yo, she enacted everybody she could to try to get the word out. Okay? So somewhere in here, she talks about how she teamed up with Isaac Cappy, like he was helping get like her stories out. Y'all remember Isaac Cappy? Let's see. Who doesn't remember Isaac Cappy? Put a I in the chat. Let me see if you remember Isaac Cappy. All right. You don't, Lisa, you don't remember Isaac Cappy? All right. Isaac
He's
Cappy was a
no
real one.
longer with us. Yeah.
Yeah, Isaac Cappy was a real one. So in terms of crash outs, right? Isaac Cappy did he was the first, let me think. Was he the first media dude to just go full balls to the wall? So he's an actor. He was in I think he was in like Avengers or some shit. So if you see him, you'll know him, right? So he was an actor. He was I think he was a Jewish dude at that. And so Isaac Cappy, I guess, had been in the industry for a minute, and for whatever reason, he started outing people. Okay, Isaac Cappy went balls to the wall, outing people as pedophiles. So here, this is Isaac Cappy right here.
Who, by the way, Steven Spielberg is a pedophile. Yep. See how easy that was, Corey? I didn't need $10 million. Oh, I'm not going to talk about Tom Hanks either, who is also a pedophile. Tom Hanks, folks, is a pedophile. I'm sorry if this is the kind of bursting your bubble, all this information is new, but it's time that this comes out into the open because we are going to change the way everything works, because at the top levels of wealth, of power, the very top levels, these people are just sick and psycho.
So Isaac Cappy went like that, right? So he would call everybody out, okay? And so when he said, see, I didn't need $10 million, he was referring, I think, Corey Feldman, who was, y'all remember, he was on the circuit asking for money to name names about all the people that abused him. Remember, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, they're the two Corys back in like the 80s, 90s, right? They was like the darlings of Hollywood. They had movies like a motherfucker. And they were out here saying how much they got abused by everybody. They were just, and one of them dudes, I think he died, right? And so the other
Corey
Corey,
Haim.
Corey Haim died, and Corey
Yeah.
Feldman, he just went on a tour like, yo, all these motherfuckers is fucking, they pedophiles. They did this to me. They did that to me. Like, and so he wanted names, like he wanted money to name names. Isaac Cappy came out like, man, fuck that. And he just started naming names. Dude, Isaac Cappy was so wild. This motherfucker did a whole song about all the people that was fucking pedophiles.
Hello, guys. Something special is happening in here. That's right, it's Brackets and Jackets, bringing it back for Brackets and Jackets, special Epstein Island edition. That's right, folks, Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, the man with the island, which is suspiciously close to Haiti. That's right. You see, this man, Jeffrey Epstein, is funding lots of people. He's funding lots of people on the street to make sure his shit doesn't get out. That's right. They want the record sealed. And they're paying a lot of people. Epstein's paying a lot of people. Oh, boy. For one, he's got a whole Mossad media matrix in America. And I would bet you anything that Alex Jones is one of them. Prove me wrong. That's right, Cappy's in the portal. Cappy's in the portal. Cappy's in the building with songs about Epstein. It's Brackets and Jackets Epstein edition. Guys, I had some epiphanies today. I had some real big epiphanies about some guys. A big network of guys and spies and lies and liars. Alright, think about this for a minute, okay? The guy in Portland, the scientist that just got busted for producing CP, that guy is 1 degree of separation away from Epstein. Epstein, the investor that lives in West Palm Beach, Florida. I know a guy who lives in West Palm Beach, Florida as well. Investor as well. Also involved as well. And all is not well with these guys. The Florida boys, the Glow boys, the Scott Israels of the world. You see, Epstein is Hillary Clinton. And Epstein is Haiti. And Epstein is a big network of media assets. By the way, did you know that Steve Bannon was going to that guy for money? Also, Epstein is Epstein Oprah. Epstein is Chris Tucker. You remember him. Epstein is also Kevin Spacey. Epstein is also Prince Andrew. Epstein is also... Who else is Epstein? Who else is Epstein? Tell me. You guys know? Who else is Epstein? Is Epstein Big Pharma? Is Epstein Bryan Singer? Is Epstein Naomi Campbell? Yep, all of the above. All of the above. Who is Epstein? Epstein is the keystone of a whole motherfucking matrix.
Yo, that shit was slapping.
Man, he went.
It
real,
was.
That
He
shit
went
was
real
slapping.
hard.
Yo.
Where you find that at? I'm surprised that's even findable.
Yo. So Isaac Cappy was talking this shit before all this shit blew up with Jeffrey Epstein. Like that shit, this was all before.
What year was that song that he did that? Was there a video to it?
Yeah, it was him sitting in front of the
Right,
goddamn
that's
camera.
what I thought. Was there a year on
Yeah,
that?
jamming. What year was that? I'll have to go find it again. But no, he was early in the game. Like, when did he? So somebody said what happened to him? Is he still around? So oddly enough, so he would be doing videos from his apartment, right? Naming all these people in Hollywood that was pedophiles. He was going ham, and then next thing you know, he was found thrown off a bridge, and they say he committed suicide. Yeah. So no, they killed him post haste.
And wasn't that during COVID, or was it right before COVID or something?
Yeah. So when did he die? Let's see. When did Isaac Cappy die? Let's see. Isaac Cappy.
Okay, while you're looking that up, I put in the chat, if Epstein was Naomi Campbell, does that mean that Epstein was also David Bowie? Because that makes me really sad.
Hey man, I don't know.
He died in 2019, May of
Yeah, I was just
2019.
gonna say, yeah, he
Okay.
died in May of
Yeah, I knew it
2019.
was right before.
It was right before, yeah.
Right before COVID, because I remember stuff was popping off, and then everything just shut down. You know.
No, so
Paige, you better
Isaac
stop
Cappy,
idolizing these celebrities.
I know, right? No, Isaac Cappy was talking that shit, right? When it was unpopular, he was saying the things, and so the reason he came up was because somewhere in here, I was reading it, and she was like, "Yo, Isaac Cappy was helping me get the word out about some of the people." And oddly enough, I can't find, like, when I search the document for his name, I can't, like, it won't come up. I'm like, "Yo, where is that?" So, but yeah, for those who didn't know who Isaac Cappy was a real one, man. All right, and when I just looked up when he died, like I looked up his, like, and it gives you his birthday. He was an Aquarius, so that makes sense to me. Like, he was just like, "Nope, I'm telling." Right? Hey, yo. So yeah, man. Shout out to Isaac Cappy for keeping it a stack. All right. Just got here. We're kind of going over some passages from Eyes Wide Open. This is Fiona
You
Barnett's
Aquarius is
book.
some rats.
Hey, man. He telling on the bad people, bruh. You hating on that? God damn
Not
it.
particularly, but the whole I'm telling shit, that just kind of really says
Hey, bro,
something.
you do something bad to me, I'm telling. Obviously, they did something bad to him. He telling. All right. Um. All right. So yeah, this is another passage out of Eyes Wide Open. Okay. So in the last passage, she was talking about how she was the one pushing the Nicole Kidman's dad pedophile story. Like, she's been trying to push, like, her stories into the media, right? And they be trying to resist. Nicole Kidman's PR team literally shut her down, like, at the media outlets, and she just kept going. But it never broke mainstream, and so she was like, I had to admit defeat. Okay. Um, and so here, this is another passage. It's called Pedogate. This is on page 4. Days before the 2016 U.S. presidential election, I received a barrage of phone texts from old friends asking if I was okay. People started questioning my kids regarding our family's welfare. I had no idea what was happening. Then I checked my blog site. A spike of 100,000 views in one day stemmed from an article that an activist group, Anonymous, published about me being trafficked to an American VP's as a kid. They used my story to expose Hillary Clinton's involvement in a child sex trafficking ring. The Clinton Foundation was a front for the trafficking of children, including Haiti earthquake victims. Bill and Hillary's trafficking network implicated campaign chairman John Podesta, billionaire Jeffrey Epstein, and Saint Mother Teresa. In 1995, the Nobel Prize recipient opened a Mother Teresa Home for Infant Children adoption center in Washington, D.C., with Hillary Clinton, which quietly closed in 2002. Mother Teresa's Roman Catholic Order, Missionaries of Charity, came under Indian government investigation for child trafficking, with a nun arrested for selling babies. Mother Teresa accepted donations from Haiti dictator Jean-Claude Duvalier. Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficked minors to VIPs, including Harvard Law professor Alan Dershowitz, Prince Andrew, Kevin Spacey, and Bill Clinton, who flew aboard the Lolita Express to Epstein's Little St. James pedophile island in the Caribbean. Epstein is among the many VIPs and government heads who knowingly donated money to the Clinton Foundation child trafficking operation. The Clinton Foundation received $88 million from Australian taxpayers between 2006 and 2014, peaking during the Welsh-born Australian ALP Prime Minister Julia Gillard's term. Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman John Podesta and his brother Tony Podesta were staying in a Portuguese villa owned by UK politician Sir Clement Freud in the same exact resort where British child Madeleine McCann was when she disappeared. Clement Freud was Sigmund Freud's grandson. British media outlet Clement Freud, British media outed Clement Freud as a violent child rapist. John and Tony Podesta perfectly matched the identikit images Scotland Yard released of Madeline's abductors. Pedogate, as the scandal has become known, surfaced when WikiLeaks released emails from John Podesta's account in October 2016. The emails notably outed Hillary Clinton as a self-confessed Moloch worshiper and captured politicians ordering children for pedophile parties using alleged fast food code words. The content of Podesta emails is consistent with the following leak from CIA outed company called Stratfor. And so there's the link in here about who is this to? It's to Don Kirkendall from Fred Burton. It says get ready for Chicago Hot Dog Friday. And it says, I think Obama spent about $65,000 of taxpayer money flying in pizza and hot dogs from Chicago for a private party at the White House not long ago. Assume we are using the same channels. So that was an email, right? A related email from Stratford's president informed Eric Eisenstein, Eric, you can participate as well. If we get the same waitress, quote unquote, I'm all for it, Eric Einstein replied. If Stratford's staff were talking about a White House orgy, the word waitresses was placed in inverted commas to indicate its alternative meaning. Waitress would typically be prostitutes, most likely child prostitutes, according to this email disseminated by Anonymous and WikiLeaks. President Barack Obama ordered 65,000 worth of fast food, an act which contravened White House policy dictating all food be prepared on site using raw ingredients to counter the security risk posed by externally prepared foods. The leaked emails prompted Hillary Clinton to publicly declare Australian award-winning journalist and whistleblower Julian Assange a dead man walking. Child prostitutes visiting the White House is old news. On 29th of June 1989, the front page of the Washington Times read, homosexual prostitution inquiry ensnares VIPs with Reagan and Bush. Callboys took midnight tour of White House. So there you go. So there she's referencing a bunch of stuff, right? So that paragraph had a lot in it. So she's talking about of course, the stuff we know about with the Clinton Foundation, right? She's also referencing Mother Teresa. How many of y'all knew Mother Teresa was a child trafficker? Did y'all know that?
Just from in here
Yeah.
earlier,
Child trafficker and money launderer.
Well,
and
they
looking
all
all
do
like
money laundering.
Fauci.
Facts. So she's talking about how one of Mother Teresa's nuns got caught selling selling Indian babies. All right. What'd you say, Ether? I knew something was wrong with her. I know, right? So this is the thing, man. Hey, whenever they put somebody in charge like that, whenever they elevate somebody's sick, they only raise to sainthood people that commit heinous shit. All right, you got to be heinous as fuck to get a fucking sainthood from the Catholic Church. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just know once the Catholic Church starts praising you, or they start giving you sainthoods and knighthoods and shit like that. Once you start getting the Obama medals of freedom, right? So remember all the people that got the Obama Medal of Freedom?
I was
You know
just
what I'm
about to say
saying?
that.
Yeah, buddy. All those people, dude, you already know. I think it was like Ellen, Tom Hanks,
Wasn't it Gates?
uh, Bill Gates. Yeah. It's the whole lot of them.
Did Oprah get it too?
Yeah, I think Oprah did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah, buddy. So yeah. So you can see what she's doing. Like she's just kind of going through. Um, so she's telling the story. She's talking about. So the first one was about what she did to get out the word about Nicole Kidman's dad. This one was about just in general the pedophile network. So she's talking about like all the people associated, right? Because like during her story, like a lot of these people she met, right? A lot of them she met like personally, right? According to her book. Um, so remember she's from Australia, and so a lot of the people she came in contact was like British royalty, all right? British royalty, um, a lot of celebrities, right? But a lot of fucking politicians like appear in her personal kind of story. All right. Let's see. Where do we leave off? So there are a lot of chapters in here about a lot of stuff like that's not in America. So she talks about a lot of um things that happen like in the UK and Australia. So I won't get into a lot of that, right? So I'm gonna try to keep it. Uh, I'll try to keep it to where like it's stuff we know about, right? Let's see. Where do we leave off? Okay, so oh yeah, we left off talking about the headline about homosexual prostitution inquiry. What is it? Yeah, she declared Julian Assange a dead man walking. That was Hillary Clinton that did that. And then there was a headline in '89 on the front page of the Washington Times that read, "Homosexual prostitution inquiry ensnares VIPs with Reagan and Bush. Call boys took midnight tour of White House." This is in the Washington Times in 1989, where they were talking about um, gay prostitutes in the White House. So it says the sensational headline concerned the Franklin scandal uh, in Omaha, Nebraska, that David Schurter was a victim of and witness to. Schurter is also a victim of my perpetrator, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino, who was implicated in Franklin plus the Presidio and McMartin preschool scandals in which children were sexually and ritually abused. There goes that word again, ritually. Pedogate whistleblower claimed children trafficked to Washington, D.C. were held in transit cellars with local businesses, including a restaurant where an entertainer was filmed boasting about raping and killing kids. Who was that entertainer? Hey, can somebody find out which entertainer boasted about raping and killing kids? It's just got
What did,
entertainer.
what did they do? They don't say.
Didn't you play a song talking about underage backstage? I'm just saying.
Yeah, bro, I don't think that's the one they talking about. Yeah, so there's an entertainer. So just reading this, she's alluding to Pizzagate. So Pedogate's Pizzagate. She's talking about children trafficked to Washington D.C. and held in transit cellars, right, with local businesses, including restaurants. That's Pizzagate. So she didn't say the word Pizzagate, but that's Pizzagate. That's what Pizzagate is all about. Okay. Um, let's see. Clean FBI and NYPD officers apparently made multiple attempts to charge Hillary Clinton and other VIP members of the trafficking ring, but their efforts were thwarted by those in the chain of command above them. One of the attempted charges related to a video of Hillary Clinton and her bisexual lover, Uma Abedin, wife of pedophile Anthony Weiner, conducting a Luciferian ritual in which they skinned the face off a live young girl. The dissemination of this video was the said reason behind the YouTube's global shutdown that occurred in late 2018 while I was online. Anybody remember the internet going down in 2018?
Has anybody ever seen that video?
No.
Somebody
No, I'm
has.
saying that
I
video is
did.
not anywhere right now.
I did. I did. I seen it when Young Pharaoh had it, but yeah.
Where's Paige at? Paige saw it.
I was about to say, the day that I can just forget that I saw it would be so nice. But you guys keep bringing it up every couple of months.
How are y'all still alive?
Hey, man. This is millions of people that saw
Yeah, they
it.
are. Doom and gloom. Why don't you?
I know.
So they said
That was a
the
joke.
woman Uma or whatever. That's her.
I was joking with
That
you.
they were involved. That's her
Huh?
partner. Uma. That's her partner.
Her assistant.
So yeah, Uma Abedin was her partner,
Right. They
right? Well, she was her assistant, I
assistant,
should say.
but
But
they're saying that was her real partner.
yeah, so
Yeah.
Fiona is saying that Uma was her boo thing,
Right.
even while she was married to Anthony Weiner, or as he's referred to as Carlos Danger.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
If he
So
didn't
so
do that, he would have won again.
I believe that.
He would have.
I believe that. Hey, bro, dude. Yeah, hold on. Where's So yeah, he gets real upset when you bring that shit up, like the Clintons up and all of that shit. Anthony Weiner gets real upset about that
He
shit.
loses his shit.
Let's see.
He's on the podcast getting asked him
Yeah,
about.
PBD.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see if I still have it. I got it around here somewhere because I just played that shit like 2 weeks ago.
She married Bezos' son, Shorty.
No, I thought was it Bezos or no Soros?
Soros, I'm sorry, Jesus.
Yeah,
Bezos.
She married.
I said Bezos.
Yeah, she married Soros Jr. Mm-hmm.
He's ultra left too.
Hey man, yes.
More than his dad, they say.
Really?
Yeah, they said he's more fanatic than his father is. That's why everybody was like, they were like, "Whoa, you guys complained about him all the time. Now watch you gonna be begging for dad to come back."
That's wild. All right. He goes, yo, this is Winter on PBD. So this is Carlos Danger on PBD when they ask him about the Clinton body count.
Yeah, okay.
You should cut that list out.
Your reputation is you like to text underage girls, sending pictures of your dangling. That's your reputation. Whatever you do, you can't do anything about it. Bill Clinton officiated your wedding with Puma, your wife, if I'm not mistaken. Correct. So you've been very close, and she was a right-hand person to Hillary Clinton in 2016 while the scandal was taking place.
For years before that, she was with Hillary for 20 years. Email
650,000, one folder with the word life insurance and the files that are in there. So 9 out of 12 cops, NYPD, who saw the email and saw what was in that laptop, committed suicide. And the most ever that this took place, and these are the men that committed suicide. First thing I ask myself is, how the hell is Anthony Weiner still alive? Well, when you go through the list of people that have been close to Hillary Clinton and the Clintons, this is not a conspiracy. You got the names of James McDougal, died of an apparent heart attack. Mary Mahoney, a former White House intern, was murdered July 1997 at a Starbucks coffee shop. Victor Razor, you got Ed Woolley. It's 46 names.
He's just reading the article. He's reading a list of names.
So,
he hasn't even asked a question. It's a list.
The fact that you're getting nervous is an answer.
It's not nervous. This stuff makes me sick when you repeat these
makes us
ridiculous. How about you pick one? Pick one and tell me who he was and what his story was.
Pull up Vince Foster if you want.
Vince Foster, that suicide has been investigated 50 times.
Can you let me ask the question?
No, listen, this is a conversation.
No.
We're having a conversation.
I'm sorry, I'm the host. You invite me to your podcast, you get to ask the question. I'm the host. I want to ask you the question. Your reaction is already an answer.
I know. I am infuriated by people who drag other people's names who are powerless. You're not powerless.
Hillary Clinton is powerless?
No, these people.
Hillary Clinton is powerless.
These people.
That's the problem.
These people.
Hillary's the problem.
You read a list of people Because you have the power to do it. People who do that are bullies, and I don't appreciate bullies.
I have the power to do what?
You do. To read a list of some stranger's name.
I have the power to use the DOJ and other things to control and hide
things. That's not DOJ.
Yeah.
DOJ didn't make this list.
Let me finish up my question.
Some jackass made a list in his basement.
You have the right to
You're reading
answer.
their names as if they're incriminating in some way. Conspiracy theory podcast, a conspiracy theory that 9 people read. You find some guy that comes in, and then you go from Ron Brown to some obscure officer that used to protect Bill Clinton, who passed away.
How is it that the reputation that follows them is people close to them die?
You should cut that list out.
The angle you did.
You should listen to me. You're talking now.
Oh, okay.
You should cut that list out of those people.
Absolutely.
We can still have the argument. You and I are big boys. Cut that list out.
I'm not going to be cutting that list.
You get it now? How are you alive?
Yo. Question is, how is he alive?
No, I'm saying that's why. Yeah, that's where I got it from. That's why I went. They said they saw the. I said, "How are you alive?"
Yeah, but
I just want to say that it's terrible how they talk about the Clintons and their reputation when they're completely unnerved and charged.
Yo, real quick, I just popped back in
this
the
thing
room.
on?
Who was I know the interviewer. Who was he interviewing?
Anthony Weiner.
And oh shit, word.
Carlos Danger.
Shout out to Hillary, man. You should have won that one.
All right, so if you just popped in, we're going through. It's a book called Eyes Wide Open. It was written by a lady named Fiona Barnett. She was, her claim to fame is that she was sex trafficked as a child to a bunch of famous and rich and powerful people. And so we're reading passages from her book. And so in her book, she talks about a little bit of everything, right?
It's a new release. It's something that recently came out?
No, this has been out for a minute. What year did this come out here? Let me see.
Or did you cover the Arthur C. Clarke shit yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. That's I got a couple passages before we get there. All right. So yeah. So she's talking about Uma Abedin, and the video is called Frazzle Drip. Okay. That's the video that they're talking about that got all these people killed. Okay. Says someone later posted forensic videos of a skinned victim on my Twitter feed, which I automatically viewed. Mainstream media giants launched a cover-up campaign against the leaked Podesta emails and related crimes to muddy the waters and leave the general public confused about what the truth is. The likes of CNN, founded by pedophile rapist Ted Turner, goddamn, successfully drew the public's attention from what was contained in the emails to who might have leaked them and spread fake news, quote unquote. The pedophiles coined the term fake news in reaction to the emails, or in reaction to the publication of Podesta's emails. Clinton herself never addressed or denied the email contents. The emails were said to have been leaked by U.S. intelligence community staff opposed to organized pedophilia. Mainstream journalists whose reports were consistent with this version of events were promptly fired. Further, over 100 Clinton staff and associates met untimely deaths. God damn. Did y'all know that? Over 100? Over 100 Clinton staff and associates met untimely deaths in quick succession, just like many witnesses to JFK's assassination. And the victims of and witnesses to Kevin Spacey's sexual assaults. That's right. Kevin did have a body.
People died around his Kevin Spacey shit too?
Yes. The victim.
Oh man.
Pedogate was discredited as fake news despite NBC's televised report regarding Hillary Clinton using her position as U.S. Secretary of State to cease an investigation into child sex trafficking with the State Department. Despite the mainstream media blackout, Pedogate reached the public via social media. YouTube featured interviews with credible witnesses who testified to the existence of an international child sex trafficking operation involving U.S. politicians and the CIA. That was when I noticed retired police detective James Rothstein. Pedogate, he explained in an interview, was the same VIP pedophile network he investigated for 35 years. The perpetrators were doing everything in their power to shut down the Pedogate story, to shut the Pedogate story down, Rothstein observed. He predicted the perpetrators would successfully bury it like every other time their network was almost exposed, including the Franklin Presidio and McMartin scandals. All right. So,
Do you think
that,
it's capable to keep anything quiet at this point in time with all the technology and how quick everything moves?
so it's there are more than one ways to bury shit, right? So you don't have to keep it quiet. You can muddy the waters, right? So you can put a whole bunch of other stuff out so nobody knows what to believe. You know what I'm saying? Like you can discredit it. So you ain't gotta fucking keep it from getting out. You just discredit it. You start putting labels like conspiracy theorists on the shit, right? And if you convince mainstream media not to cover it, and only social media is covering it, oh, it's a social media conspiracy theory. Remember, mainstream news isn't touching it. No legitimate outlets are talking about it, so it must be conspiracy. Remember, that's what they did with the Hunter Biden laptop.
Yeah, but now I think that card is gone. I don't think that card's valid anymore
Now,
because of the laptop. I think was the wake up for most people.
you know what, bro? I don't think most people really
There's
know
still
about
right. There's still a lot of people that don't even
it.
know
Yeah.
about that.
Yo,
Yeah.
the last passage you just read, what was the first thing? It was something you said in the very beginning I want to comment on. What was the very first shot? That shit open.
Let me see. It's talking about. I think you came when we was talking about the. Did you pop in when we was talking about? Let me see.
Just from the last couple of sentences you read, like you had started reading something you said. I want to comment on.
Was talking about. Despite mainstream media blackout, Pedogate reach the public via social media. Or before that, we was talking about mainstream media giants launched a cover up against
Oh yeah,
leaked
there we go.
pedestrian email.
The fact
Yeah.
that fake news was their response to it. Yeah, if you ever, it was interesting. If you ever do a Google Analytics on that, you could just you could literally type in two key phrases at a time and compare, like get a line graph that shows you their popularity. If you ever put in Pedogate, put in Pizzagate and put in fake news and get the line graph to show you up two lines of when those two things took off, literally coterminous. The second you maybe a day before Pizzagate goes, like a day after Pizzagate goes viral, fucking fake news becomes a term. Before that, it's just flat, like at zero, like at nothing, because Pizzagate is not really a buzzword, and fake news is not really like a hashtag key. But the second Pizzagate goes up, fake news just takes up right after it. Like it's clearly a response. Like that was their, premeditated sort of, I guess, campaign to respond to that
Two
shit.
questions. What's that word mean for those of us with GEDs? And are you
Coterminous.
saying
Same time.
Trump not do fake news first? It was somebody else, and he took that from
I
somebody.
think he took it. He tried to wrangle it from them because their media started saying the term over and over, and then I
Oh,
guess
okay.
he probably quickly tried to swiftly. Because if you look at it, look it up, it's the same exact time. The two shit just spike at the same moment.
And the word.
Pizzagate, oh, coterminous, at the same time. I guess that's the word you was talking about. Stupid.
Thank you.
Yo, at the same
Try
time.
not to play Scrabble with the
My
rest
bad.
of
My
them
bad.
in
My
here
bad.
before the show starts.
I mean, my shit.
Hey
Anyway, how
yo,
about the Knicks, bro? What's that? Real quick, not the deep. Just shout out. I know
yo.
y'all.
Every New Yorker saying
Holy
the same shit.
shit.
DJ said the shit in the
Holy
chat. JR
shit.
said the goddamn shit. All you niggas said the same shit. Dude, y'all killing me. All right. So that was remember this is if you just got here, the book is Eyes Wide Open by Fiona Barnett. This is her telling the story about all these people she was sex trafficked to, and the stories associated with not only her but other people she knows who were trafficked, okay, to a lot of famous people all over the world, right? So it's not just in
Wait,
America. Huh?
you read the book? You read the book, Linnell?
No, the whole book. No, I just kind of went through and was
Bruh.
looking at things that were interesting to me.
Not
Hey,
you
Jamila,
called
we're
this a
doing it
book.
the right way. We're doing it the right way, Jamila. Wasting all that time on
I'm
all those
so
pages.
Spark
confused. I'm
notes.
like, look, I'm like,
What you
bruh.
think? What you
Okay,
think the paragraph in the back is for?
I,
Facts.
For
I
the
thought
smart people.
I thought y'all
Sparknotes.com.
had some side rooms without me.
No, we didn't do a public reading of the book. No. Um, let's
That's
see. So
crazy
I
because
said,
we did When Rocks Cry Out, but let me go look this person up to see what the variations and the difference is because this ain't right.
all right. Um, okay. So this one, you know what? The funny thing is, the passage I'm about to read now is the reason the whole shit came up. Cause I saw some information about this. I was like, wait, what? Oh, hell no. Cause like I again, y'all know I be in rabbit holes. And so the first time that I heard about this part was like it was recently. And so I parked it. So y'all know I got a bunch of tabs on my computer, and so I'll park it. And so when I'm like, what I'm gonna talk about, I'll go back and cycle through all these different tabs of stories that I want to talk about. And I came to this one, and I was like, yeah, I need to talk about this. And so that led me to her and this whole big ass rabbit hole. And so that's how we ended up talking about this today. So this passage right here, I found quite interesting. In 1972. Rothstein arrested one of the five Watergate burglars, CIA operative Frank Sturgis. During a subsequent 2-hour interrogation, Rothstein discovered the truth about the Watergate, plus Sturgis and the CIA's involvement in the Bay of Pigs incident and related assassination to JFK. Um, Sturgis told Rothstein, the Watergate burglars sought something they nicknamed the book, which listed the Democratic and Republican politicians who accessed child prostitutes, their sexual proclivities, the amounts they paid to rape kids, etc. The official Watergate explanation is the liberals broke into the Democratic National Committee headquarters to obtain information about their election strategies. People who lived through Watergate typically comment with a frown. That never made sense. Rothstein's experiences make better sense of why Nixon conspired to quash the Watergate investigation, why he suggested the investigation pose a threat to national security, why his personal secretary destroyed Oval Office tapes recordings after they were subpoenaed, why Chief CIA psychologist John W. Gittinger was called to testify at the congressional committee that investigated Watergate, and why Nixon's own vice president issued a pardon which protected Nixon from prosecution for any crimes he had committed or may have committed or taken part in as president. If Nixon's crimes included pedophilia, that would make perfect sense. I am confident President Nixon and his good buddy, the Reverend Billy Graham, were named in the Watergate pedophile records. I am confident of this because I was sex trafficked by CIA head psychologist John W. Gittinger to both men as a young child. I spoke with James Rothstein on 13th April 2018 and asked him whether he knew or had heard that Nixon was a pedophile. No, I did not, he quipped, which with surprise and interest. I next asked him whether he knew about Billy Graham being a pedophile. At this, Rothstein chortled and responded confidently, oh, we heard lots about that. I published a draft of this Watergate was Pedogate chapter on my blog in 2018. It proved popular. Watergate was Pedogate is the best thing I ever read, one reader commented. My article caused great controversy, particularly among Southern Baptist Billy Graham worshipers who told me I was the talk of many a Sunday table. Photographs published by Billy's son Franklin Graham on social media showing him proudly dining on what he described as killer donuts at Voodoo Donuts in Portland added weight to my allegation that Billy Graham was a multi-generational Luciferian pedophile. Many concluded that Franklin Graham posted his tweet as a cult threat against me in direct response to my articles exposing his Freemason father. Conservative Christians found it inappropriate for an evangelical preacher to dine at an establishment that sold donuts decorated with encircled pentagrams and which featured Jesus crucified on a penis and testicle-shaped donut called cock and balls. What the fuck?
What the hell? These people are
Wait.
sick.
Yo. All right. So now what she's saying is that the Watergate break-in was them trying to break in to the DNC to get a book which had listed out a bunch of politicians' sexual proclivities. All right. That was the whole point of the break-in, is what she's saying.
What are the chances that that type of book is going to be in a file cabinet, not in a fucking safe?
Hey, bro, I agree. I agree. All right. So So the thing is, the Billy Graham being a pedophile thing. I'm with you. Nixon, that's tough. You know what I'm saying? Not because I know the man or anything like that, but I mean, I don't know him.
As long as man is involved, there'll be fuck shit.
Facts, but like the dude she was talking to, she was like, "Yo, did you know Nixon was a pedophile?" He's like, "Nah, tell me more." Did you know about Billy Graham? He's like, "Yeah, we heard about that." Like, people in intelligence, like, that's not something you can hide for for a long, long time. So that's why I'm like, okay. I'm not saying it ain't true. I'm just saying, yo, that's interesting. Like, interesting. Unless, and so the thing is, now the other thing is, um, I can think of ways where it would happen, right? Or reasons like it would happen, but yeah, I don't know.
The reason it was easier back then also is because everybody did everything over the phone.
Yeah,
And people had landlines, no cell phones.
yeah, no, that's facts. That's fucking facts. Um, so yeah, man, and it is, and so there's definitely a picture of Jesus on a donut, a penis shaped donut upside down. I'm guessing they would probably say that this is a cross.
Yeah, that makes me think about the upside down crosses from the Vatican and everything.
Um, no, I guess I'm looking at it. It said penis, but you can say dick and balls, but maybe it's a cross. Maybe it's a cross. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. Even though Voodoo Donuts, I don't know if y'all remember Voodoo
That
Donuts.
must be some reach that it can't make it onto a conspiracy cookout.
I know, right?
And you don't agree with it. Damn.
I don't know. I'm
That's
trying to be
crazy.
fair. I'm trying to be balanced. I'm trying. Hold on. Wait. The donut is called cock and balls. Damn. Never mind. I quit. I forgot about the name of
Nah, that's crazy.
it. Yeah, I
That
know,
didn't age well.
right? Damn. All right. Yeah, I'm finna say, and I remember. You gotta remember, we talked about Voodoo Donuts when we talked about Pizzagate. Like that's one of those establishments that's in with the shits. So anybody remember the Pizzagate talks? Voodoo Donuts is one of those places where the owner is definitely with the bullshit.
Yo, let me tell you something, bro.
And
One of evil's best fucking things they got going is the fact that the shit they into is so bizarre that people who aren't that twisted couldn't even fathom it, because this shit is so, like, from Pizzagate, the voodoo, all these shit that's so beyond coincidence is so in your face that, like, the fact that most people, I don't know, the fact that nothing can be really done about it, they could just kind of hide under the cloak of just how absurd it is. It's crazy, bro.
You know what, bro? The people pushing this shit, I agree with you. Like, they can't hide their shit, right? And so they're so out there, it's hard to say, oh no, what we doing is normal. Like, you just gotta, don't worry about it. Like, it's out there. Like the pedophilia, the what's the shit where you eat people and shit? The what's that called when you eat people?
Cannibalism.
Cannibalism.
Cannibalism. Yeah, the cannibalism. Like, they just, yeah, no, it's normal. Like,
You know what
nigga,
I
what?
find interesting? I've noticed lately, like with all the talk of the trafficking and all that stuff, I've noticed that there's celebrities now that are like having all these children. You know, you don't hear much about them getting them from somewhere else. Now it's like they're actually having them, like a lot of children.
Are celebrities really having a lot of children?
Well, I'm just saying, like somehow they're having multiple children, like, and it seems like it's back to back and stuff.
Hmm.
Anybody else notice that?
I think
Yo,
Oprah was
ain't Rihanna, is
pregnant.
Rihanna
Yes.
pregnant again? I saw a
Uh
picture
huh.
of Rihanna
Yeah,
with a
she
baby.
pregnant again.
Oh, wow.
Um,
What else is she supposed to do? She's a billionaire.
yeah, that's facts. Um, all right. Let's see. What we going? All right, next passage. Was what's that? Page 16. All right, guys. So you just got here. We're looking at a book called Eyes Wide Open. It is a book by Fiona Barnett, who is said by like she was born into a family that sex trafficked her to some very high level people. So you just got here. That's what we're reading. There is a standing trigger warning because this, remember, the whole book is
What
about
what is
sex
what is that?
trafficking,
That was
pedophilia.
over January 20th, bro. What are you
Huh?
doing? What are you
What are you
doing?
talking about? Oh,
The
no
trigger
more. Oh,
warning.
no
What are
more
you
trigger
doing?
warning. You know
Hell
what?
no.
Oh, so fuck it. I just get to say what I want to say. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, fuck y'all feelings. Yo, do y'all know? Anybody ever heard of NX IBM? No.
Are they with the company or there's something different?
No, no, no. It's something different. NXIVM. Anybody ever heard
Nexium,
of it?
the sex cult from Hollywood, that shit.
Yeah. Yep. Literally. It's so it was a cult led by Keith Rainier, who is now a convicted racketeer and sex offender. What's it? Nexium is also the name of the defunct company that Rainier founded in 1998, which provided seminars ostensibly about human potential and served as a front organization for criminal activity by Rainier and his close associates. All right. It says it was based in New York Capital District, had centers in the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. All right. So she references Nexium in her book. So the passage is called Nexium equals MK Ultra. In the late 1990s, Amway salesman Keith Rainier and Nancy Salzman founded Nexium, NXIVM. Rainier, who attended a Luciferian Rudolf Steiner school, modeled NXIVM on Scientology. Salzman was trained in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, by Richard Bandler, a MK Ultra perpetuator, and in hypnosis by Herbert Spiegler, U.S. Army hypnotist, and MK Ultra researcher at St. Elizabeth Hospital, who wrote the foreword to the MK Ultra classic, The Control of Candy Jones. The Bronfman sisters financed NXIVM and its subsidiaries, including the nonprofit Ethical Science Foundation, which came under the State Attorney General investigation in 2017 for performing brain activity and other human behavioral studies. Medical doctor Brandon B. Porter conducted MK Ultra style human fright experiments in which he hooked over 100 victims to an EEG and recorded their reaction to surprise screenings of snuff films. An actual video of horrific and brutal murders and dismemberment of 4 women by machetes and violent film clips, including a male African American being viciously stomped by a Nazi, a conscious male being forced to eat a portion of his own brain matter, and a graphic gang rape. What the fuck? See? The New York State Office of Professional Medical Conduct initially determined Dr. Porter's behavior did not constitute medical misconduct They caved to pressure following the high-profile NXIVM case. Back in 2013, Rainier patented a device designed to measure victims' sensory responses to watching snuff films. He labeled this determination of whether a Luciferian can be rehabilitated. Women who were not overtly traumatized by the images were considered suitable recruits and physically branded like cattle. Their numbness at watching snuff films indicated their passivity to and suitability for sex trafficking. The fuck? The mainstream media ignored the crux of the story that NXIVM was a front for CIA child sex trafficking. NXIVM leader Rainier and his sidekick Allison Mack were originally charged with child sex trafficking. In 2019, the couple were additionally charged with child pornography. The pending counts filed on April 19, 2018 and published on the internet read, sex trafficking for children by force, fraud, or coercion, conspiracy to commit sex trafficking of children by force, fraud, or coercion, and attempt to establish peonage, slavery, involuntary servitude, and human trafficking. The fuck? Adding weight to NXIVM posing as legitimate front organizations for child trafficking, Claire Bronfman sponsored a NXIVM subsidiary called Rainbow Cultural Garden, which operated numerous international child care centers located in the USA, UK, Ireland, Guatemala, Spain, and Mexico. Bronfman purchased an island in Fiji, a notorious trafficking hub. The NXIVM court case revealed the Mexican government, including their president, were involved in the operation, vindicating my 5-month 2018 online campaign to expose the Arizona/Mexican border as the main human trafficking land route, involving Tucson Mayor Jonathan Rothschild. Damn, Tucson's Mayor Jonathan Rothschild? That's wild. His senior police staff, who were previously implicated in child trafficking in California, and a minion of the NSA FBI informants with Luciferian cult connections. Isaac Cappy, who helped me expose this operation, subsequently died under suspicious circumstances in Arizona near an NSA base immediately after he reached out for help to the Clinton Dynacorp CIA-linked SEAL Team 6 assassin who hid the discovery of child trafficking camps in the Tucson desert. All right.
Yo, did you lose your
You
mic?
cut out the
Oh,
last
what
word.
part of
Tucson, and
what's
then
the
that
last
was
thing y'all
it.
heard?
Tucson.
The Tucson mayor? Did y'all hear about the Tucson mayor?
We didn't get the mayor part.
Okay, so let's see. The NXIVM court case revealed the Mexican government, including their president, were involved in the operation, vindicating my 5-month 2018 online campaign to expose the Arizona-Mexican border as the main human trafficking land route involving Tucson Mayor Jonathan Rothschild. His senior staff, who were previously implicated in the child trafficking in California, and a minion of NSA/FBI informants with Luciferian cult connections. Isaac Cappy, who helped me expose this operation, subsequently died under suspicious circumstances in Arizona near an NSA base immediately after he reached out for help to the Clinton Dynacorp CIA-linked SEAL Team 6 assassin who hid the discovery of child trafficking camps in the Tucson desert. So she's saying the Tucson, Arizona mayor, Jonathan Rothschild, and his senior police officials were all part of a child trafficking ring at the border. All right. And Cappy died after he reached out for help. And where he was killed was somewhere near an NSA base.
I wonder if he lived near there, because it's like,
Well, he
it's
was born
interesting
in
that he.
Arizona. I think it said he was
Oh,
born down
okay.
there somewhere.
Oh,
So that might have been his home, like his home. Um, NXIVM bore the hallmarks of a CIA human trafficking and compromise operation. The cult sex trafficked children and adults, targeted influential people, including entertainers, and owned over 60 related companies, including a video department called Moving Pixels. Connections were detected between NXIVM and human trafficking mob boss Bill and Hillary Clinton. Texts exist between Keith Rainier and Hillary Clinton. In the 1990s, Bill Clinton asked Keith Rainier for money because he was doing business in Arkansas. When Rainier refused, the state attorney general targeted his operation for closure. Consequently, Rainier's new NXIVM operation made illegal campaign contributions to the Clintons. This information was revealed during Mark Vincent's testimony during the NXIVM trial in May of 2019. All right, so there you go. A sex cult connected to the Clintons. Well, they were paying off the Clintons like the Clintons was fucking mob bosses and shit. All right, who were trafficking kids. So the wildest shit to me is that they had a machine to determine, who is the best candidate for sex trafficking. Like, if you could stand looking at these snuff films, then yeah, we got you. That's the wildest part to me. You know what I'm saying?
It's all wild.
I know, right? Hey, can somebody put the Discord link in the chat for Kira? Let's see. All right. What else we at? So now, this is a quick passage right here. This one ain't that long. All right. This one ain't that long. So this is about so this kind of links back to Watergate, but it's bigger than that. So this is about Operation Mockingbird. In 1977, Watergate investigative journalist Carl Bernstein said the CIA had recruited over 400 American journalists. So this is Operation Mockingbird. This is how they got control of the media. They recruited 400 American journalists. Alsop is one of more than 400 American journalists who in the past 25 years have secretly carried out assignments for the CIA. According to documents on file at CIA headquarters, some of these journalists' relationships with the agency were tacit. Some were explicit. There was cooperation, accommodation, and overlap. Journalists provided a full range of clandestine services, from simple intelligence gathering to serving as go-betweens with spies in communist countries. Reporters shared their notebooks with the CIA. Editors shared their staffs. Some of the journalists were Pulitzer Prize winners, distinguished reporters who considered themselves ambassadors without portfolio for their country. Most were less exalted foreign correspondents who found that their association with the agency helped their work. Stringers and freelancers who were as interested in the daring do of the spy business as in filing articles, and the smallest category, full-time CIA employees masquerading as journalists abroad. In many instances, CIA documents show journalists were engaged to perform tasks for the CIA with the consent of management of America's leading new organization. So a lot of those times when you see like in China, they'll arrest a reporter, or in Russia where they'll arrest a reporter or some shit like that. And people be like, oh, look, this dictators over there, they arresting reporters. They don't have free media. It's because them motherfuckers was spying. I'm gonna tell y'all, dude. Low key, I think they might have had Brittany, what was that shit? Brittany Griner do some shit for them. That's why they arrested her ass. Whenever I see people abroad, especially in like Russia or China, some shit getting arrested, my first thought is the CIA had them motherfuckers doing something. Like they was doing some shit they weren't supposed to be doing. and they got caught. That'd be
They
my first
already got a
thought.
bunch of them out of there in Burkina Faso recently
You
too.
said,
Journalists, Traore in Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore.
mm-hmm. Yeah, bro.
Well,
That
journalists, a couple journalists from America and whatnot, quote unquote journalists, and they were spies.
facts. That'd be my first thought. I'll be like, yo, the CIA is notorious for getting other people to do shit for them. Hey, you just pass this thumb drive off to somebody. Well, look, next time you hear, take a picture here, and so I can see what it looked like. Like they be having people do shit for them. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy sidebar story about a time that somebody was in there. I heard that they had over 500 attempts on Castro's life, and the only reason he survived was he had some Cubans inside the fucking CIA who would keep tipping them off to every, to everything they had going. So he survived 500 attempts because he had mold in the CIA.
That makes sense. Mm, so, yeah, that's one of the things. Whenever I hear stories abroad, like I don't never go with the mainstream narrative. Something happened. Yeah, something happened. Nigga. What did you do? Is always my question. Like, what did you do, dude? All right. Does anybody know besides Jamal? I know Jamal knows. Does anybody know who Arthur C. Clarke is? You can put it in the chat. If you're in the chat, you know who Arthur C. Clarke is. Let me know. Anybody know who Arthur C. Clarke is? Y'all ever heard the name Arthur C. Clarke? Well, shit, if you come here every week, you would have heard it. That just means y'all don't be paying attention. Although I probably only mentioned them like twice.
No. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember that name.
I've only mentioned them twice. Yes, he's a writer, Jamila. What kind of writer? And what's he famous for? You remember? Or you just Googled it right quick? Hold on. You know, fiction. Yes. Um,
It's a
it's
popular movie.
what you say, Mark.
It's a movie, no? Turned into a movie.
So he was a famous science fiction writer. Yes, but he gave the world something. Uh, yeah, he gave the world something, right, through his writings, right. No, he didn't give the world space, Jamila. So in his writings, Jamal, what did he give the world, bro?
Reality.
No, Jamal, where you at? Jamal still here?
My fault. I was eating. Couple things like satellites was one of the things he did. But I wouldn't disagree too much with Jamila. He was very instrumental in how people imagine outer space to be
Period.
now.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
he's very instrumental. But yeah, definitely satellites is one of them things.
Facts. So the concept of a satellite came from him in one of his books, right? And so, like
What
before, go ahead.
what book?
Let me see. What was the book? Hold on. See, Clark.
He had a Space Odyssey series, but I was saying space reality. And I
Mm-hmm.
put fiction in air quotes because we all know what that's like.
Facts. So let me see what. So proposing geostationary satellite communication in his 1945 paper, Extraterrestrial Relays.
Yeah, extraterrestrial relay. That is one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
Can rocket
um,
stations give worldwide radio coverage?
hmm so that was Arthur C. Clarke, right? Um, like the he forwarded a lot of the space propaganda. Okay. Now, oddly enough, so he was British, of course, and so British. So this is in the book. So we're back to the book. So she's got a little chapter on Arthur C. Clarke. British science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke co-wrote the screenplay for the 1968 predictive programming film 2001: A Space Odyssey. So that was Stanley Kubrick's movie. So it was Arthur C. Clarke and Kubrick. Okay. In 1961, Julian Huxley's UNESCO awarded Clarke the Kalinga Prize for popularizing science, meaning that he got a goddamn an award for making people interested in science. Like, hey, your shit got people, thinking. Again, he came up with the idea for a satellite, so it's like, oh man, this shit is dope, right? Clarke is famously quoted as saying, "Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic." More significantly, and this is where it gets interesting. More significantly, Arthur C. Clarke was a gay pedophile who pioneered the Sri Lankan child sex tourism industry. Not only did he didn't just participate in it, he pioneered it. Okay? He pioneered the idea of going to fucking Sri Lanka to have sex with children. The British royals knighted Clarke just days after a Sunday Mirror journalist, Graham Johnson, revealed Clarke admitted to having solicited sex from young boys. When Clarke subsequently denied this admission, the Sunday Mirror produced Clarke's taped admission plus a secret document naming Clarke as a pedophile known to members of NAMBLA. This nigga,
This
they
just gets
got him.
worse and worse.
Yo, yo. So the nigga that invented fucking the satellite that people fucking jock to this day, right? And he co-wrote the 2001 Space Odyssey. Not only was he gay, right? Not only was he a pedophile, but he was a pedophile that pioneered going to Sri Lanka for sex. All right. He pioneered the whole sex tourism trade in Sri Lanka.
So space is gay then.
Space
Like
is
people
gay
say.
and fake. Exactly. Literally gay and fake. You know what I mean? And so it says U.S. detectives who arrested leaders of NAMBLA Association 10 years ago say Clarke was named by other pedophiles they quizzed during an FBI investigation. The perverts had set up children's homes in Thailand as fronts for their sick activities. One of his leaders was Jonathan Tampico, 48, a, a top nuclear scientist who worked for the American government. Bruh. He
I was about
served,
to.
huh?
I was about to mention Thailand. Go ahead.
He served 2.5 years in jail for molesting a boy of 12 and is now on the run with $1 million warrant on his head for further porn offenses. He told detectives he had stayed at Clarke's home in Colombo and had swapped letters with the author. Another known pedophile, former church minister John Wakefield Cummings, 56, is serving a 24 years to life sentence after admitting molesting 17 boys in his care. He told police in Sacramento, California, that Clarke had been contacted at his Sri Lankan home by a pedophile who was on the run from the American authorities. In a sworn statement made to an investigator for Sacramento's district attorney, Wakefield Cummings told how the pervert fled to Sri Lanka, where he was able to contact the pedophile community through Clark. This nigga's in Sri Lanka setting up the whole pedophile network. He then fled from Sri Lanka to Indonesia. Detectives contacted a child welfare group to warn them about Clark's activities. Arthur C. Clarke said in the Notorious interview, I am all in favor of efforts to stop pedophilia. But how do we stop it without interfering with the rights of responsible adults? I think most of the damage comes from the fuss made by hysterical parents afterwards. If the kids don't mind, fair enough. This is what Arthur C. Clarke saying.
Bro, what?
Yo.
The nerve. That's crazy.
Yo.
Interfere with the
This
rights
nigga's
of
wild.
responsible adults. Is that what he said? It's crazy.
That's the
Yeah,
first
so
part
yeah,
that
I'll
blew
read it
my mind.
again.
Like, bro, what?
I'll
Where
read it
does Paris
again.
be at?
I am all in favor of efforts to stop pedophilia. But how do we stop it without interfering with the rights of responsible adults? I think most of the damage comes from the fuss made by hysterical parents afterwards. If the kids don't mind, fair enough.
How
What?
Bro,
dare
I'm
you
so
fuss? That's
confused by that double
crazy.
speak, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
How does he open up by saying that he's all I'm all hey listen, I'm as much against pedophilia as the next guy. But like it is the right of a responsible adult. And if the kids don't mind, man,
Fair enough,
Then what's the fuss?
bro.
this is who these niggas open fucking anti-flat earth rooms to defend. It's outer space bullshit.
Facts.
Bruh. Space is fake and gay.
And now super pedo.
Super fucking pedo. In recent years, Clark's name has been linked with two notorious pedophiles, one of whom, a Swiss millionaire, was kicked out of Sri Lanka on orders of the president for abusing impoverished beach boys. He is now awaiting trial in Zurich, accused of sexually abusing up to 1,500 young boys, and like Clark, was friends with a lot of Sri Lankan top politicians, senior policemen, and influential government figures. Clark is said to have attended parties at the tycoon's home. When asked if he had, Clark replied, I may well have done. I mean the very first man I met here in 1954 was a pedophile and made no bones about it. He was in intelligence in the army, a fantastic guy. Hey fucking yo. So yeah. Um yo, if this shit like wasn't so sad, like it's so sad it's funny to me. Like they wildin'. Like he ain't had none of this shit. He like, nah, I'm here. Let's do it. It's fucking wild. Um, where do we go from here? If you just got here, we're doing I'm reading passages from a book called Eyes Wide Open. All right. It was written by Fiona Barnett. Fiona is telling her story about how she was sex trafficked to very influential and important people in Australia, the UK, and the US. All right. So we've read a number of passages. So her book is not just her stories, but she's also talking about a bunch of different conspiracies, um, and a bunch of different people, famous people, um, who have documented pedophilic past. So she's telling her story, and then she's talking about people who have documented pedophilic encounters. This Arthur C. Clarke one is wild though. I can't even front. This shit wild as fuck. All right, where we at? We're going to page 50. All right. Where we at in page 50? We're talking about here. Oh, yo, this is wild right here. So there's a term. It's called false memory syndrome. Anybody ever heard of this shit before? False memory syndrome. All right. In 1993, Dr. Corydon Hammond, a professor at the University of Utah School of Medicine, conducted a seminar on federally funded mind control experiments. Topics covered by Hammond included brainwashing, post-hypnotic programming, and the induction of multiple personalities by the CIA. Remember, a lot of this involves sexual abuse. You have to, part of preparing the person's brain to be kind of, um, uh,
Split.
yes, programmed
Yep.
is to split
Mm-hmm.
it, right?
Split it. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it has to be fractured. It has to be partitioned. And so that's what the sexual abuse is for. So the sexual abuse, um, the reason that, so the whole reason for the sexual abuse, the networks of sexual abuse isn't for the sake of sexual abuse per se. It's to create MK Ultra candidates. And so the best way, I'm saying best, but in their heads, in their methods, what they found is the best way to prepare people for MK Ultra is through trauma, and sexual trauma is the most effective, I guess. So that's why they're like networks, right? Where they're doing this to kids because they're trying to get these, they're trying to make them programmable. All right. Hammond contended that the cult underground has roots in Nazi Germany and that the CIA's cult mind control techniques were based upon those of Nazi scientists recruited by the CIA for cold warfare. Hammond was forced to drop this line of inquiry by professional ridicule, especially from the CIA's False Memory Syndrome Foundation and a barrage of death threats. At a recent regional conference on ritual child abuse, he regretted that he could no longer speak on the theme of government mind control. MK Ultra child rapist and killer Martin Orne co-founded the False Memory Syndrome Foundation. The concept of false memory was in fact the brainchild of Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino, the U.S. Army intelligence officer who headed psychological operations. In classic PSYOP style, Aquino appeared on Oprah dressed in theatrical pop Satanism garb to muddy the waters after multiple children identified him as a Luciferian pedophile. Aquino was implicated in every major U.S. case involving CIA child trafficking, ritual abuse, and MK Ultra mind control, including the McMartin Preschool, Presidio Preschool, and Franklin scandals. Aquino and Orne's False Memory Syndrome Foundation and its Australian counterpart, the AFMA, were formed specifically to counter the tidal wave of disclosure by victims of the CIA child trafficking and Project MK Ultra, which began in the 1980s and peaked in the early 1900s before the CIA effectively shut it down. The FMSF board comprised of former CIA and military doctors with backgrounds in behavior modification, not ritual abuse. All members were accused pedophile and or CIA perpetrators. Like the PIE, the FMSF offered legal support to accused pedophiles. Here are some facts about false memory associates. And so she just kind of, well, one, the whole idea of a false memory syndrome is them. It's kind of what she said earlier, right? Where, like in her opening statement, she talked about how, yo, people get so focused on the pedophilic nature of it that they disregard or they don't believe anything else. And so, because all these people were coming out speaking about like their experiences with the MK Ultra program and the pedophiles and the sexual abuse, they created the CIA created these organizations called False Memory Syndrome Foundation, where they were perpetuating or putting forth the idea that all these people are having fake memories. Okay, they're putting forth the idea that, oh yeah, all these people, something happened to them, and so now they're inventing things, right? And so they got false memory foundations in America and in Australia, where most of the victims are. Got me. So yeah, false memory syndrome foundation. And so when you look at the foundation, there's a bunch of people associated with the MK Ultra program, associated with like military and CIA programs, um, in that area, like in brain function and brain development area. So that's what, like, she lists out a whole bunch of people who literally, they're involved in hypnosis, right? Memory, mind fucking separation, MK Ultra shit, like all kinds of shit. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. So hey, we didn't went through a lot. Anybody got any questions so far? Like we didn't talked about a lot.
You
What's up,
said
Boo?
who? Okay, you said Aquino. How do you spell that?
AQUI
N
NO.
O.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Aquino. Okay.
Keno. Quano, Keno. You know what JL say, I don't read so well.
That's all right. I was just trying to, cause I was trying to look it up, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so good. What's up, Lisa?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to add years ago, probably I'm going to say late 90s, I was on a chat show in the audience. I wasn't on it. But the topic was false memory syndrome. And I'll never forget, this family came in and they were all like dressed in black. And I remember they just reminded me of goths or sort of vampires. And it was the mum and the dad, and they kind of looked like a little bit like they were in disguise. And the girl to me looked like, Wednesday off the Addams Family. And half of me thought, like, are they just actors and they're just here just to say, yeah, she's had some false memories, or are they actually real people? So when you was talking about it, it just brought it all back. But I remember just looking at her, and the girl, she was just like looking at the floor a lot, and it was just really weird. It was really, really strange. So just wanted to add that in. So they use the media to do all sorts, you know what I mean? It was the equivalent of it's a serious kind of talk show. But yeah, just wanted to add that.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what she was saying is that the people involved, remember, they're trying to muddy the waters. And so this is what we was talking about with JR earlier, where he was like, yo, it's hard to keep information hidden. Yeah, you ain't got to hide it. Or you ain't got to hide it from the public. You just got to hide it from people understanding what it is. And so with that, you muddy the waters, right? You make it look so dirty that people can't tell what's real and what's fake. And that's a lot of what we're seeing here, like in this document or in the book. Like the way that they move is they just muddy the water so you can't tell what's real and what's fake. Right? You know what? When we have flat earth conversations, that's the same thing, right? So the anti-flat earthers, part of their tactic is to project claims so outrageous onto us that people, like, they'll try to dismiss us wholeheartedly, right? And so it's just about, yo, you ain't gotta hide it. You just gotta you gotta throw so much shit around it that people don't know what to believe and what not to believe. And that keeps most people confused. Most people don't have the patience to kind of wade through the noise and separate fact from fiction. And that's a lot of what we deal with, like especially in this community. And yo, in the truth seeking community, um, like what we do is like we literally sit here, right, for hours on end, and we wade through information trying to discern fact from fiction. That takes a lot of patience, right? It takes a lot. Most people they don't engage in that shit, right? They just want you to tell them what it is. They want it simple, they want it fast, they want it now, and then they want to go eat. And that's how we end up where we end up. All right. All right. So you just got here. We're going through the name of the book is Eyes Wide Open. Fiona Barnett is telling her story and she's talking about a bunch of different conspiracies, but the main theme, like the thread that connects them all, is MK Ultra. Okay. So pretty much what she's saying is that, yo, there are large sex trafficking networks around the world, but it's all for the purpose of MK Ultra, right? That's what they're doing. Like all this pedophile shit is based in MK Ultra. All right, so here we go. We're on page 50 now. So the headline says the CIA infiltrated Australian therapy industry. And so remember, if they did it in Australia, they did it here. This is the CIA. They wouldn't do nothing in Australia that they haven't done here already. A 1994 FMS newsletter documented the influence of the CIA pedophiles had on Australian therapists. The following is a letter to the FMA from Jerome Gelb, the psychiatrist who took a loaded handgun to court. News from Australia. The Australian False Memory Association has now been formally organized. The links between the AFMA and Australian professionals seem strong. And the fact that the Australian Psychological Society has already established guidelines for recovered memory situations indicate a positive and determined approach by professionals to deal with the problem. A letter from Dr. Jerome Gelb, a psychiatrist in Australia, affirms this optimism. He states, I am writing to keep you up to date with events in Australia regarding FMS, that's false memory syndrome, and recovered memory therapy. Australian psychiatrists are, apart from very few exceptions, fully aware of the iatrogenesis, iatrogenesis, iatrogenesis of so-called repressed memories, MPB, and satanic abuse. The Royal Australian and New Zealand College of Psychiatrists has been helpful in publishing the issue. Hey, Robin, what the hell is iatrogenesis? Is that the beginning? So Genesis means
I have no idea. I have to look it up. Spell it.
look it up. iatrogenesis. Yes, fully aware of the iatrogenesis. It sounds like maybe the start of the root cause or some shit. If I had to take a guess, Genesis means beginning. Iatro, what's that prefix? Um, hmm, Iatro. And what language is that? Is that fucking Latin? Iatrogenesis, Iatrogenesis. Hey man, I got caught up on the word.
Okay, it is iatrogenesis refers to any ill effect or harm caused by medical treatment or interventions. It encompasses a broad range of adverse outcomes, including diseases, injuries, infections, and adverse drug reactions that result from diagnostic procedures, therapies, or even the healthcare system itself. Iatrogenesis can be unintentional, arising from errors, negligence, or unforeseen complications of a medical procedure.
Okay, so pretty much it's a negative result of therapy, and so what they're saying is Australian psychiatrists are, apart from very few exceptions, fully aware of the iatrogenesis of so-called repressed memories, MPB, and satanic abuse. So pretty much they're saying that the repressed memories and abuse cause a negative effects. Right, so when they're trying to fix them or some shit, there's a negative outcome. Okay, I think the negative outcome they're referring to is the false memory. I think that's kind of what they're trying to say. Dr. Gelb mentioned the television and newspaper articles that have recently appeared in Australia, noting that they understand the iatrogenic nature of some memories. Dr. Gelb said that he published a detailed letter to the editor in December 1994, the Journal of Psychiatric and the Journal of Australian Psychiatric. Um, Dr. Gelb went on to write that I feel that public opinion in Australia is supportive and the media is also. Most importantly, Australian psychiatrists are almost universally wary of American therapy fads and highly critical of poorly trained therapists and the inappropriate use of suggestions, persuasion, and memory recovery techniques of all kinds. Please let your membership know of these developments. Okay, so essentially what they're doing is they're saying, hey, all these people who underwent all of this trauma and the therapists, right, in America, like they're engaging in all sort of memory recovery techniques that, yo, these are fake. They are false memories. That's the whole false memory syndrome thing, right? These are false memories these people are um, recovering, or that they're talking about. They aren't real. And so in Australia, we got it. Like everybody knows that, yo, once you get people coming in for therapy and they talking about something happened to them, yo, the things that they say, yeah, that shit might not be real. Okay. Um, the CIA dictated APS recovered memory guidelines. The APS guidelines relating to recovered memories were introduced on October 27, 1994. According to the 1994 US FMS, that's false memory syndrome newsletter, the APS guidelines relating to recovered memories were adapted from a book written by MK Ultra hypnosis researcher Australian Peter W. Sheehan and Kevin M. McConkie, which was based on their hypnosis research. Kevin McConkie and Peter Sheehan then presented their views at the 28th Congress of Australian Society of Hypnosis. Their presentation paper was subsequently published. Presenters at the same conference included the usual suspects, a whole bunch of MK Ultra people for the most part. Okay. So essentially what happened is they came in and said that, yo, all these people with these memories, yo, these shits ain't real. Okay. These shits ain't real at all. They're false memories that they're pulling up. Okay. So that's essentially what happened. All right. They came in, they put together an organization with and got people with some credibility. You know, they always ask, well, who's on your side that has, degrees? Right? They put together people with degrees to come in and say the thing that they wanted said, which was, yeah, this shit be fake. You know what I'm saying? This shit be fake. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions? Any questions? Like we kind of into it. We're talking about Eyes Wide Open. It's a book by Fiona Barnett. So she talks about a bunch of stuff, right? So if you like MK Ultra, the MK Ultra discussion, like you'd like this. It's a lot to like about MK Ultra. So some people, I know Allie likes the Pizzagate topic. This is Pizzagate on steroids. So if you want to learn more about kind of the trafficking and the Pizzagate and all of that stuff and how it's involved, This book is really, really heavy on that stuff. All right. So she goes heavy on that for a long time. And then, and like I said, she gets really in depth in that with a lot of different cases, with a lot of different people that, again, we Americans, we don't really know a lot of these people, right? But then she comes to like, there's a chapter on just conspiracies overall. Yeah, there's a chapter with conspiracies overall. So she's got one talking about 9/11. It's just called Conspiracy Fact, right? So it's about 9/11, right? Um, let's see. It's about the New World Order. Like she's got a thing about the New World Order. Um, let's see what else. Um, what else? Some existence of a shadow government. So she's talking about this. Talking about the Freemasons. Um, social media psychological operations. Right. So what she says is the internet is a psychological war zone. The Secret Service, military, Vatican cults, and various police organizations employ thousands upon thousands of social media agents. That's facts. The role of these agents is to monitor, identify, target, and infiltrate individuals and activist groups opposed to the Luciferian global agenda. Social media agents target those who speak out against such controversial issues, uh, such as global child sex trafficking operations, 5G, vaccinations, immigration, and the Safe Schools program. After 6 years of battling it out on the internet, the agent's behavioral patterns have become obvious to me. I conclude that approximately 90% of the higher profile alternative media identities are, in fact, agents paid to control the narrative regarding controversial topics, with the primary goal of swaying public opinion and subduing the masses from revolting. These agents employ Hegelian dialectic methods and pretend to argue a topic, when in fact they're all working toward the same goal. They muddy the waters with endless rhetoric until the public is confused and dissuaded from investigating the truth in any matter. The following three news articles provided insight to this type of psychological operation. These authorities typically claim these operations exist to target the extremists, when in fact they target government dissidents. The term Russia and ISIS are employed to justify the existence of such Orwellian measures. I'm not going to read the articles, but we've talked about this before. All right. Let's see. Fixated persons. No, let's go to what is this? 163. So this one I thought. So I've heard about this one before. 62, 163. Oh, here we go. Hey, yo, where's my? Is Ass right here? Lise, you here? Where's my British people at?
Yep.
Y'all here? This might be y'all shit. You know who Paul Mullen is?
No, that name doesn't ring a bell.
Um, let's see. Does the name Port Arthur mean anything to you?
No.
Really? Okay, cool. All right, so Paul Mullen was a court-appointed psychiatrist who assessed Martin Bryant, the young man forced to change his plea to guilty, and so he received 35 life sentences for the Port Arthur massacre. After a 3.5-hour interview, Mullen claimed Martin Bryant possessed an IQ of 60. It is neurologically impossible for someone whose intelligence level sits at the bottom 2% of the population to kill 19 people in 20 seconds. That headshot rate is not achievable by the world's most elite snipers, whose intelligence level must sit in the top 1% of the population, because high visual spatial IQ is essential for accurate shooting ability. Hey, Robin, can you look up the Port Arthur massacre for me?
Wait, was this
Um,
was this in overseas, like in Iraq or Afghanistan?
No, I think it was in Australia.
Oh, Port Arthur. Okay. Does it say what kind of weapons they were using? Because the Marines had a similar situation in wartime. They actually got investigated for war crimes for headshots, but they found out that it was the glass they were using, a special type of scope, that just caused the guns to be a little more accurate for
Nah, you know that. Okay. No, this is something.
Know about the massacre, Lana.
Huh? Can you just give me the overview of it?
Okay, hold on, let me open this up real quick. It says the Port Arthur Massacre was a mass shooting that occurred on April 28th, 1996 at Port Arthur, a tourist town in Australia, in the Australian state of Tasmania. The perpetrator, Martin Bryant, killed 35 people and wounded 23 others, the deadliest massacre in modern Australian history. The attack led to the fundamental changes in Australia's gun laws.
Facts, right there. So the Port Arthur massacre is the event that prompted Australians to give up their gun laws, to give up their guns. I said laws, to give up their guns. After that, Australians literally lined up and turned in their weapons because of one shooting. This one, okay? One shooting made them turn in the guns. And something similar happened in London. Lisa, what was y'all shooting? Y'all had a school shooting, didn't y'all?
Oh, I remember there was one, I think it was the Dunblane massacre. That was more in Scotland, but we're not a gun holding kind of nation, so I
Y'all,
don't
so
think
y'all
it
had one. It
had an
was
effect.
it was the dude who was he was a friend of the prince. What's his freaking
No, I
name?
don't recall.
It was the he was like a school teacher. He was friends with all the fucking royalty. He ended up shooting a bunch of fucking people. Don't worry about it. I'll come to it. Anyway, so remember, Paul Mullen was the court-appointed psychiatrist for Martin Bryant. Martin Bryant is the one who did the shooting. Okay. Paul Mullen coincidentally popped up at 4 other shootings in Australia. It says Paul Mullen popped up at 4 other mass shootings in Australia and New Zealand. He worked in Melbourne in 1987, where he interviewed the Hoddle Street shooter, Julian Knight. Then he moved to Aramonia in New Zealand in time for David Gray's 1990 shooting massacre. Then he returned to Melbourne in time for the Tasmanian government to request he interview Martin Bryant in 1986. And he just happened to be visiting New Zealand for the 2019 mass shooting in Christchurch. 2 weeks prior to the Christchurch massacre, Mullins spoke at Melbourne's Sofitel Hotel, where he released an exact script for what unfolded in New Zealand and profiled the white right-wing extremist type who poses the new terror threat, in which he fit in which fit the alleged shooter. Okay, so this is given. I don't know if y'all know the name Jolly West, right? So Jolly West was all over the place. Jolly West is he was like the second in charge of MK Ultra, right? So Jolly West, yeah, y'all ever heard the story about Jack Ruby? I know y'all heard it because I told it to y'all. I'm trying to see who remembers the Jack Ruby story. Anybody remember the Jack Ruby story? Anybody know who Jack Ruby is? Let me see. Sometimes I be confused with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Y'all remember Jack? Who knows who Jack Ruby is? He said the JFK cleaner. No, he wasn't the JFK cleaner. Well, cleaner. Yeah, yeah. You want to call him that? That's fine. All right. So here, Jack Ruby. Do y'all know who Lee Harvey Oswald is? Anybody know who Lee Harvey Oswald is? Hmm. All right. So Lee Harvey Oswald. What's that?
The nigga that they say killed
Can't hear you,
JFK.
Watson.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
The nigga that they said that killed JFK.
Facts. Good job. So Lee Harvey Oswald was getting perp walked from the police station to the police car. Okay, they was taking him out the station. They was going to transfer him somewhere. A dude ran up on Lee Harvey Oswald and shot him point blank range while the cops were holding his arms. His hands were cuffed. The police were literally right next to him. A dude ran up on Lee Harvey Oswald and shot him point blank in the chest. That dude is Jack Ruby. Okay? So JFK's killer has a killer.
Rubenstein.
Jack Rubenstein. Right? So now you got two murders in one day. Okay, you got Kennedy being killed, and then they find Lee Harvey Oswald, and they bring him out the police station, and right in time for Jack Ruby to run up on him and bust a cap in him. Okay, then they arrest Jack Ruby. They take Jack Ruby in the police station. They put him in an interrogation room. Jolly West shows up. Jolly West, right, is MK Ultra, right? Psychiatrist. Like he's one of the pioneers of MK Ultra. Um, Jolly West. So they go in to interview Jack Ruby. Well, not they. He goes in to interview Jack Ruby. Jack Ruby he's a club owner. He owns a club. He is not somebody who's mentally deficient, right? He's a business owner. Jolly West goes in and talks to Jack Ruby for 45 minutes. When he leaves out, Jack Ruby is on the ground, balled up in the fetal position, babbling incoherently. Got me? That's MK Ultra. So the MK Ultra Jack Ruby to make him go shoot Oswald. And so when I see
So
this
West was the handler
handler,
in
sure,
a
you can say
way.
handler,
In a way, I
yes.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So when I see this about the dude Paul Mullen, who was at 4 mass shootings in Australia and New Zealand, same thing. Same thing. Right? He triggers the people, then after he triggers them, he goes and wipes their memory. Remember, he said that dude, after he left out, the dude had an IQ of 60, meaning he was a babbling moron. Right? He was a babbling moron afterwards. All right. So, that's the Port Arthur thing, right? Where they use that to get rid of the guns in Australia. So all my Australian homies, this is why you don't have no guns, because of the Port Arthur shooting. So coincidentally, it's what they're trying to do here, right? That's why we have all these mass shootings, all these MK Ultra victims. That's who's shooting up the schools. They're trying to create an Australian situation here where people are like, oh no, nobody needs guns. We need to give them up. All right. But Americans we're so much assholes. We're like, yeah, fuck all that. We keeping them. You know what I'm saying? So that's working in our benefit. All right. Our assholish nature is working in our benefit. All right. Let's see. What was we at? Hold on, how much time I got left? See what my time look like. Ooh. All right. I'm moving though. I'm moving. I think I got enough. I got enough time. Let's see. So let's go to 166. So this gets us to something that we've talked about before. So there was a now we get into kind of the Soviet fascist agenda. This is on page 166. The Soviet fascist agenda. So remember, fascism, communism, socialism, it all comes from the same people, fucking the Zionists. Okay? All comes from the same people, the Zionists. All right. And so in this chapter, she talks about a KGB officer, Yuri Bezmenov, who defected to the USA. Okay. He defected in like the 60s. And so he wrote a letter in 1970. Bezmenov defected to the USA and changed his name to Thomas Schumann. There he spent his remaining life warning America to rid itself of the Marxist-Lenin doctrine infiltrating Western culture. Okay? So he wrote a letter in 1984. The letter read, "My dear friends, I think you are in big trouble. Whether you believe it or not, you are at war, and you may lose this war very soon, together with all your affluence and freedoms, unless you start defending yourselves. I hope you have noticed on your color televisions that there is, in fact, war going on right now all over this planet. This war has many faces, but it's all the same. It's war. Some call it national liberation. Some title it class struggle or political terrorism. Others call it anti-colonialism or struggle for the majority rule. Some even come up with such fancy names as war on patriotic forces or peace movement. I call it world communist aggression. Anybody that's been here knows who the communists are. The Zionist. He's talking about the Zionist. He escaped the Bolsheviks in Russia, and now he's talking about the Zionists that are in control over here. How they're trying to put all that shit here. The final stage of communist aggression, military confrontation, has very little to do with rivalry for territorial or geographical gains in order to free and liberate. Communist world aggression is a total war against humanity and human civilization. In communist propaganda terms, this is the final struggle for the victory of communism. No matter how many problems you think the U.S. may have, believe me when I say that there are nothing in comparison to the troubles you will experience if the U.S. continues to agree and sympathize with communist socialist doctrines. So this is a Russian like, hey, yo, y'all better chill, bro. He's warning of all the fucking Zionist, communist, socialist propaganda that they're pushing over here. All right? And so he gets into... he talks about the subversion techniques and tactics. So what he says is So we're talking about ideological subversion. The KGB's main 85% activity was subversion. Subversion means destructive, aggressive activity aimed to destroy the country of your enemy. Subversion activities are overt and legal. A typical subverter is an exchange student, diplomat, actor, artist, or journalist. A fucking yo. All the people that are causing trouble right now, dog. All the people we talk about. All the people pushing the trans agenda. All the people pushing the LGBT agenda. All that shit that we be fucking complaining about. He said this in 1980s, like, yo, the typical subverters are these motherfuckers. The people, hey, funny thing is the people protesting at all these campuses and shit, exchange students. That people get mad that Trump like, oh no, y'all has got to go. I think he read this letter. He's like, oh,
Did
hell
he
no.
say? Did he say exchange students? What else? What was the list?
A typical subverter is an exchange student, a diplomat, an actor, an artist, or a journalist.
Okay, so I just noticed something too, though. Don't aren't they the group of people that get the special visas to be able to?
To be able to
They're
go, yeah,
granted
go
these
back
special
and forth.
visas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
to go back and forth, right?
Hmm.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah, buddy. We already talked about journalists earlier, how the CIA used journalists to spy, right? Do we see actors and artists, the rappers and the fucking singers and all these motherfuckers talking all this dumb shit, right? What Juvie vax that thing up, man, you don't get the fuck up out of here, right? So this is him talking about, subversion, okay? Um, let's see. An integral part of this war is the war of ideology is ideological subversion, the process of changing the perception of reality in the minds of millions of people all over the world. The late comrade Andropov, the former head of the Soviet KGB, called this war of communist aggression the final struggle for the minds and hearts of the people. Remember, these are Zionists, right? The Bolsheviks. We talked about the Bolsheviks all the time. The art of duping the masses into doing things into doing their own the art of duping the masses into doing things to their own disadvantage and making them believe it's the will of the people is as ancient as mankind itself. The essence of subversion is best expressed in the famous Marxist slogan, if you substitute proletarians for more appropriate word, useful idiots of the world unite. Hey yo. To achieve the desired effect, the subverter must first make idiots out of the normal people and divide them. Before turning the people into a homogenized mass of useful and united idiots, tanks and missiles may or may not be needed for the final stage. For the time being, they are simply the means of terrorizing the people into inaction and submission. The dumbing down of school children using Marxist indoctrinated curriculum achieved this. Facts. We was arguing about this shit yesterday.
Big facts.
All right. The 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 curriculum in the United States schools are Marxists. All right. They're super fucking liberal. And they teach Marxism. You know what I mean? And that makes a lot of fucking stupid people. And that's the shit we be dealing with every day. All those people coming in here like, man, what are y'all talking about? What are y'all? Why is this important? Like, why are y'all? What do it matter what they do? Like, man, you don't shut the fuck up. Anyway, I just had a moment. Um, let's see. So let me real quick go over the 4 stages of subversion. How much time I got? Oh, I got a little bit of time. Not a lot, a little bit. All right, real quick. Let me go over the 4 stages of subversion. We've talked about this before. I played a clip of this Russian dude talking about this. It might have been this guy. I think I got a clip. I got a fucking clip of this guy. All right, 4 stages of subversion: demoralization. That's one. Number 2, destabilization. Number 3, crisis, and number 4, normalization. Okay. Demoralization. This is called psychological warfare, ideological aggression, or propaganda warfare. This stage takes 15 to 20 years to achieve because this is the minimum number of years needed to re-educate a single generation of students via Marxist ideology. There are 3 levels of demoralization: ideas, structure, and life. Okay. So if you want to read the whole thing, y'all can grab the book. Hey yo. What the hell was a non-issue? Hold on. That was just one, yo. These are 2. All right. Stage number 2 is destabilization. Destabilization takes 2 to 5 years to achieve. The focus here is on the country's internal power structure, foreign relations, and economy. The first symptom is instability is expressed as a desire of the population to bring to power those politicians and parties who are charismatic, act like good caretakers, and promise job security and free social services rather than protection from external and foreign enemies. This global lockdown has just destroyed the economy in Australia. Those who suddenly lost their jobs qualified for $750 per week welfare payments. No matter what your job, you get the same wage, just like in Soviet Russia. So that's that universal basic income that we always talk about, right? Um, Stage 3 is crisis. This stage takes 2 to 6 months to achieve. This is fast. This is the stage where we're at globally now. At the third stage of subversion, you will have all your American radicals and Soviet sleeper agents springing into action, trying to seize power as quickly and ruthlessly as possible. If all the previous stages of Soviet subversion have been successfully completed by that time, the majority of Americans will be so totally confused that they may even welcome some strong leaders. The crisis was COVID-19. The radicals are whipping up people into a protesting frenzy. The result is what Yuri predicted. The leader will be given most unlimited emergency powers. A forceful change for the U.S. system may or may not be accomplished through a civil war or internal revolution, but change will be, and rather a drastic one, with all the familiar attributes of Soviet progress being instituted, such as nationalization of vital industries, the reduction of the private sector of the economy to the bare minimum, the redistribution of wealth, and massive propaganda campaign by the newly elected government to explain and justify the reforms. So that was your Biden fucking presidency, except he wasn't that fucking strong, and nobody was buying that shit. So that's the thing. I think the extreme rebuff of Biden, right, means that the the first two um the first two stages never really took, right? It was bad. It was real fucking bad. But I don't think the first two stages never really took here. I think they were trying, but it never really latched on. So I think that's why we got, like, that's why the Biden whole concept went away. Right? So instead, where they say, yo, nationalization of private industries, the reduction of private sector of the economy to the bare minimum, that's not what we're seeing. Like, what we're doing is we're reducing government right now.
No, it's kind of a both thing going on, dog.
Mm,
They like
go.
it's a setup for the private sector fall. Like it's about to be hand in hand, bro.
So where do you see the government taking over industries?
The fact that they're trying to subsidize right now. So if you look at
What are they subsidizing?
the farmers right now, that to me that's one of the first steps of the shit. Right? They tried to
Well,
do it with as in the
wait,
supply
when
chain.
haven't they subsidized the farmers though?
That's what's going on. That's why
No,
that's
but
part of
no,
it.
no. The thing is, that's been going on. That's not new.
So look, what you're if you can say that it's been going on, you're agreeing with me that they're doing it in phases to the private sector. They can't come in all at once. There's only going to be a few of these private niggas left. And like you can look at private equity moving around and see the same shit just going on in the background that
Right.
niggas don't look at.
So remember, what we're talking about is when the government gets bigger. So remember, for the past 40 years it's been doing stages one and two,
Department of
right? They've been
Education might be the a blatant ass example of it.
so again, that goes against the subversion,
How?
right? Because part of the subversion would be growing the Department of Education. So remember, in this, the state takes over more, not less.
That's what I'm talking about. But the like what?
Yeah, so the central government should be taking over more, not less.
Yeah, what
So
like I
getting
don't
rid of the
understand.
Department of Education goes against it.
They're getting they're getting rid of it, right? And giving it to private niggas that they can control. That's what they wanted
So
to do
again,
with it.
right?
That's
So
why I said
again, that's
it's like hand in hand. How is that not hand in hand?
so understand the the subversion they're talking about, the communist subversion, it doesn't go into private fucking hands. It goes into the government's hands.
That's what I'm literally saying. It like a lot of this shit is going to keep happening because it's a proxy. And niggas aren't realizing that they're doing a lot of this shit through like we've been talking about BlackRock for the past 5 years. Nigga, that's a proxy of the government. They just look private.
Okay. And so, uh, are you saying that the education sector is going to BlackRock?
No, what I'm saying is it looks like they're separate, but the way thing
You broke up. You break it.
they wanted to privatize that bitch because a private entity can do different things, but they can still control that private entity. That's a proxy.
So wait a minute. What? No, we still talking about education?
No, I'm talking general. I just gave education as a specific example of them being hand in hand right now.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that one, dog.
So, Mark, who do you feel that the Department of Education is going to be moving to? That's the private proxy
So that's something I think
when
they'll
they
come out with
close
because
it.
they were wanting to take bids for it, just like a regular company would do. You know what I'm saying? So,
Want
like
to take bids for
they're
what?
dismantling this shit in front of our eyes, right? And then controlling those proxies. Like I'm not just
What?
saying, you know,
Well, no. What? Want to take bids for what, bro?
for how they would to manage the Department of Education. That was their plan, right? Like to kind of scrap it, have somebody private come in, right? And when that happened, it goes to the bidders. They have to bid. It's a law. So they give
Mm.
it to a person, right? That says, yeah, I'm gonna do it for this amount, or I can do it for this, and then
So
have oversight
show
over
me
them.
where you're talking about. Like, give me an article where they're
All
talking
right,
about
my
this.
mom might be asleep, but she'll send it to me.
All right. Cool. Yeah. All right. Cool.
So
Um.
example would be like the space NASA becoming SpaceX. It's a
Correct, but it's a
from a
proxy.
government, right?
Yeah.
It's hand in hand.
Exactly.
Right, and I guess I was just trying to understand, like, with that example that he used SpaceX, like I can see that, but I haven't seen or heard of a private entity that would be a proxy for the Department of Education.
That's
Not
what I'm
going to
saying.
either.
That's literally what I'm saying, right? Like I think y'all are focusing on the fact that I'm saying they wanted a business to do it. I don't know what fucking business got it, or if they bid it, or if they got that far. That
Oh,
was
I
the
see.
government
I see.
plan.
I see. Oh,
Right.
I thought you
So
knew of
the thing is,
okay.
right. So in socialism or in communism, you don't do that. Like, you don't bring in private businesses. Like, the state takes care of that shit.
You act like we not about
It's
to go
all the
into a
same.
one world
Uh,
government, and that's what they're running shit though. The niggas that we talk about aren't running shit through big ass governments. A lot of it's getting ran through private courts nowadays. Like we look at like these companies that are too big to fail. Nigga, who like those? That's who's running the fucking government.
Okay. Um. So is that again? That's not communist though, right? And
I think it's new age,
eh,
as in they can't come and do the same shit to everybody that they've been doing. Like we've been talking about Agenda 2030. That is that communism to you?
yeah, hell
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying. Like the shit they're doing leading into it just looks different.
So how do we get there? Like, so because what I'm saying is not that, right? I'm seeing things that go opposite of that.
You're seeing things go
It
the opposite
looks
direction
like
of what?
Yeah.
it looks the opposite, but it actually isn't.
Okay, so explain that.
So, in communism, the government controls uh, the 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 education system, whatever the space program, whatever it is, and what the people that are running the show are doing are just setting up companies, and they're creating the industries according to what they want. I don't know if you saw an interview with Mark Andreessen. He
Yeah, I
uh,
saw it.
right, so that's another example.
Wait, no, wait, you gotta focus. What you gotta explain what you're saying.
Okay. So basically, there's 3,000 billionaires in the world. They're running the show. They're bigger than all the governments. They're bigger than all. They run the Black Rocks. They're controlling everything. And
So that's capitalism.
well,
No,
what
no,
you want to
no.
So it
call?
sounds, if I may, it sounds like what we see as nationalism that's happening right now is really a facade
Right.
that's
So
Boom.
actually
again, that's
going
what they're
toward,
saying, but I'm waiting for
yeah.
somebody to make the connection. Nobody's made the connection.
He gave you the whole. So look, bro, this is what I'm saying to you, right? Like what he just said. You
Uh-huh.
have 300, let's say 3,000 billionaires, or whatever you just said. My man, can't remember the number, right? Those niggas are running the world. Example: there is a guy who is fearful of his life, so he stopped posting. I don't know if his lawsuit continued, but was telling the general public because he worked for a family office, which is a private bank for a family, a billionaire family, that they worked together every morning to manipulate the stock market and was proving it. Went to the SEC, had all these reports. So you have a gang of people waking up every day to control the stock market, right? Example one. Then he just said, right? You have people like Elon Musk, for example. They just shut down NASA or got the funding cut from them niggas a couple of years ago, maybe in a decade or more, right? Then we have this nigga pop up that's getting military contracts. That nigga's a proxy for the government. He's just a billionaire that's a part of the bigger plan. Likewise, you go all around. We got the Bilderberg Group. We got niggas like Bill Gates and all these things. They're coming together to do certain shit for themselves through these private entities like these corporations and shit, like they're using them, right, to hide and mask who the fuck is actually doing shit. Like for instance, we might think it's fucking Donald Trump, but we've been talking about it for a little bit now. Like we going into a technocratic state and we got his whole fucking campaign funded by Silicon Valley, and they're doing the same shit.
All right. So I heard everything you said, but none of that is communism. It's not even that's not even masquerading as
Bro,
communism. Like it
how,
doesn't
so
like what you
We're
explained.
not calling it communism.
No,
It's not.
bro.
It
But
has
that's the
nothing to do
discussion
with
that
the
we're
forms
talking
of
about. It's not
government.
Marxism. It's not communist. It's not like
that's no
so. Like
I'm
it's not none of the things that we're talking
How is
about.
that not new age? Like this, like literally, right? The communism we're talking about right now, they're not using the same form and function that they've been using since World War II. We're in a new age. Like if you can sit here and say Agenda 2030 is communism, but then ignore this is how they're doing 2030,
So
you're not making any.
no, but again, all the things in 2030, those things are not being implemented. Not here.
Oh yes, they are. Are you kidding me?
Wait, what? So tell me what?
I just gave subsidizing farms, right? We're looking at
No, no, but
we're looking
that's
at no.
been
What I'm
going
telling you
on.
is we're looking
Jesus
at it
Christ.
happen in pieces and have been. We're in the way it's going, we're not looking at it like uh how they gave it to us in the past couple of years and decades. So of course it's not gonna look like the shit.
Yeah, but
Nigga, like
this the thing,
my
bro.
sister came over from Korea with a fucking app on her phone that worked in the US, right, to track her ass. if she wanted to go somewhere for medical shit because of the COVID vaccine. Like, we got the shit. It's just not as full blown as it might be in other places,
So this
bro.
the thing.
Like, we got whole
So
cities that track your face. We got a stadium that tracks your face when you walk in that bitch. Like,
that's not it though. I mean, yeah, that's not. Anyway, all right. The fourth stage is normalization. To avoid bloodshed, the subverter moves to normalization. Normalization is where a country is brought by force into the normal state of socialism. This is where dissidents are placed in camps and publicly or privately executed. Goddamn. The New World Order will need stability and new morality. No more grassroots movements, no more criticism of the state. The press will be obedient, and censor itself. So Bezmenov predicted the systematic destruction of America's Judeo-Christian democracy that will culminate in the violent riots occurring in America now. Followed by martial law and installment of communist fascist regime under which everyone will achieve equality where deceived into protesting for. So, like I said, it appears steps 1 and 2 didn't take. And so step 3 didn't go as planned. Right? Step 3 didn't go as planned. All right. And so that's what the subversion. So that subversion, right, is given to us by Yuri Bezmenov. Like I said, I got a clip of this dude talking about this. All right, let's see. Got a couple more things to get through. So they talked about the Jesuits, UNESCO. So UNESCO is literally kind of what we was just talking about. Where's UNESCO? So UNESCO is the UN Education something something. I forget what the fucking acronym is. What is it? It's so here. Julian Huxley was an evolutionary biologist and president of British Eugenics Society. He founded and was director general of UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. That's what it stands for. United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. The UN's propaganda arm for implementing cultural revolution. So anybody who was here, where did we go? We went over. What were we going over? Where we looked at Agenda 2030 on the website. I forget what that was. That wasn't too long ago. But that's all under UNESCO, right? You know what? Let me see if I have it. That's all under UNESCO. All that 2030 shit is under UNESCO. So I think I have some. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Give me a second. It's where is it? Nope. It's new. So I just saw this. I want to say last
Linnell,
week.
whether they
What's
do
up?
it the way the Russian guy explained or they're going to do it now the way Trump and Musk want to do it, they they're doing the same thing. It's just
How is it the same thing?
they're controlling the food supply, they're controlling the
Who?
education
Who?
system.
Who's controlling the food supply?
Um, if you see how uh, the food is being grown and
When did that
why,
happen?
huh?
When did that happen?
for a long, long time. This has
Right.
been happening.
So this the thing, and this what I mean, right? So for the last 40 years, we've been under control of the globalists, right? So all the shit y'all talking about, like with the subsidies and giving Bill Gates control of the fucking food and all of that dumb shit, that shit been happening. So the question is, how is that shit going to play out now, right?
They're cutting
Because
off food, bro.
thing is the conditions that created that shit are not the same, and so now I want to see how it's going to fucking play out now. Like a lot of the policies that were put in place the last 40 years, a lot of that shit is dissolving.
I sure hope so. I
Right.
I hope Kennedy Jr. can do what he says he's gonna do, but I let's
I
see.
got you.
Let's
I
see.
got you. Okay. All right. So this is so we're talking about UNESCO. That's UN fucking Agenda 2030 shit, right? So this happened last week at the UN.
We, however, have decided to call a vote on this resolution. We have a concern that this resolution reaffirms Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals. Although framed in neutral language, Agenda 2030 and the SDGs advance a program of soft global governance that is inconsistent with U.S. sovereignty and adverse to the rights and interests of Americans. In the last U.S. election, the mandate of the American people was clear. The government of the United States must refocus on the interests of Americans. We must care first and foremost for our own. That was our moral and civic duty. President Trump also made it clear and overdue course correction on gender and climate ideology, which has pervaded the SDGs. Simply put, the globalist endeavors like Agenda 2030 and the SDGs lost at the ballot box. Therefore, the United States rejects and denounces the Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development and the Sustainable Development Goals and will no longer reaffirm them as a matter of course. We're also concerned that the resolution's titular reference to peaceful coexistence could be co-opted to imply the United Nations' endorsement of China's 5 principles of peaceful coexistence, which are not the product of a UN-recognized negotiation by member states and were not endorsed through the UN processes. Any attempt to apply such an endorsement could undermine the UN's independence and important processes and deny member states the opportunity to shape the future of the UN. Further, would undermine international calls for accountability of China's flagrant human rights abuses. Similarly, the concept of dialogue among civilizations is rooted in President Xi Jinping's Global Development Initiative that seeks to shield Beijing from criticisms of its governance system and human rights abuses by redefining basic terms such as democracy, human rights, and justice, and twisting definitions previously set down as foundational texts such as the UN Charter to suit PRC interests.
AKA, the United States has told the United Nations they can go fuck themselves with their Agenda 2030 bullshit. All right. That's what I mean about so you're right, over the past 40 years it's been like that, but recently a lot of the directions and priorities have been changing. And not just here, like around
Like
the
what?
world you can see it. All right. So it's getting interesting to say the
Like
least.
what?
So that's some of the shit I was gonna play today. But I decided that, you know what, it was a lot to do. And so we'll talk about it, but the general tone and direction of the way that we go about life and living is changing. It's altering its course, right? The constant march towards the globalist 2030 agenda and all that shit, it's been abruptly halted, right? At least for the foreseeable future. What happens after the next election? Don't know. But it's been stated very clearly that that's not the direction that we're going in, at least right now for these 4 years.
Why do you, I mean this? Why do you think that?
Well, they literally just said it. The policies that they've been enacting have been reflecting it. So when what you say and what you do are in congruence, I have no choice but to actually give you some credibility.
So the fact he wants a CBDC ain't like that's just one small thing I want to say. Like you don't think that kind of fucks with your
Trump
whole?
actually banned CBDCs.
Okay. Can't he thought about it the first time. This nigga supports him now, bro.
Right. So, hey, do you have any articles about him promoting CBDCs now?
I can find some. I think
There you go.
so.
Let me know.
In saying that, uh, I think the fact that he, you know, ripped off a bunch of niggas using a meme coin lets you know his support will, change a little bit.
Uh, Him doing a business thing is different than a CBDC for the country, bro.
For a dude who wasn't touching it to now use it is also a major difference.
Yeah, he's a
So
businessman.
Linnell,
Okay.
they're pumping USDC as opposed to USDT. That's an example.
Who is they?
Um, the U.S. government, the security. So the USDT is much bigger, has much more circulation, but
Hmm.
it is uh, it doesn't follow certain criteria that is with securities laws and so they want that to be the dominant stable
Who
coin.
is they? Who is they?
The people in power.
So is that so? Again, there are lots of people in power. It's not just one people in power. Who we talking about?
See, uh, what I see is a two-headed dragon. They're all the same. They're not
Hmm.
different.
Hmm.
So, um,
I
yeah.
got. I disagree. Okay, cool. Um, let's see.
Hey, it's funny you disagree because I'm about to post an article right because
Got you.
apparently this is mad recent. He supported a bill for crypto regulation of the stable coin, which is what he's talking about.
All right, I got you. Um, all right. Last thing. Let's see. This is on page 205. Just when you thought you knew the 60s. Aldous Huxley moved to the USA in 1937 and remained there for World War II. Aldous and pedophile Christopher Isherwood were employed as Hollywood scriptwriters for Warner Brothers, MGM, Walt Disney Studios. During the late 1930s to the 1940s, Huxley and Isherwood laid the foundation for the 1960s drug rock counterculture by recruiting people into the ISIS cults that Huxley's mentors had formed while stationed in India. Huxley founded multiple ISIS cults in Southern California and the San Francisco area, while Isherwood translated and propagated ancient Zen Buddhist documents that inspired Zen mythical cults. The 1960s counterculture was a complete resurrection of the Isis and Dionysian cults. The MK Ultra puppeteers rebranded the ISIS cross as the famous peace symbol of the 60s counterculture. So that the whole peace symbol, that's the ISIS cross. The 1960s hippies displayed Dionysian cult instruments, including panpipes, tambourines, and skin drums. I remember those. Every time you see the hippies, they got the pipes and the tambourines and the drums and shit. That was that 60s shit. The rite of Isis incantations, drum beating, dancing, repetitive movements, like throwing the head back, and hallucinatory substances, including mezcal and hashish, created the dissociative trance state combined with hallucinogens considered to be the visitation of the gods, aka spiritual possession. Okay, hippies thought they were becoming one of the gods, one with goddess Mother Earth. Ancient cult drugs were sacred with the knowledge, preparation and gathering were secret. The ISIS drug and dance ritual were reproduced at 60s CIA events like Woodstock. The sex orgies of the ISIS cult became the free love hippie orgies of the sexual revolution. Both involved liberation from civilization's rules and constraints and featured a return to their primordial nature, Mother Earth, and animalistic sexual behavior. The ancient cults featured sex with animals. Sex with animals. In 1952, Aldous Huxley accompanied his family doctor Humphrey Osmond to the USA. Huxley recruited Osmond to conduct research for CIA Director Alan Dulles. Hey, if you've been around, Alan Dulles is a name that keeps popping up. MK Ultra covert LSD experiment. Huxley recruited Osmond to conduct research for the CIA Director Alan Dulles' MK Ultra covert LSD experiment. Osmond wrote Schizophrenia, a new approach in which he said mescaline produced a psychotic state identical in all clinical respects to schizophrenia. And so experimentation with hallucinogenic drugs may be key to developing a cure. In his book, Doors of Perception, Huxley claimed hallucinogenic drugs expanded consciousness. In California, Huxley recruited MK Ultra individuals who were initially attracted to the ISIS cults he found during his previous USA visits, including Alan Watts and anthropologist Greg Bateson, Margaret Mead's husband. Watts became a nationwide Zen Buddhist cult guru who founded the Pacifica Foundation, a CIA cutout which sponsored 2 radio stations used to introduce the Liverpool sound to the USA, namely Rolling Stones, Animals, the Beatles, followed by acid rock and fascist punk rock. The Beatles, who featured Aleister Crowley on their album cover, took copious drugs and consulted their Indian guru, and so recruited a generation of youth to Huxley Dionystic counterculture. First of all, they wild. And Alan Watts was my man. Dude, I'll still listen to Alan Watts today. Some of Alan Watts' lectures are fucking amazing. Right? So I'm kind of hurt by this whole shit. Like, I'm gonna tell y'all, when I started going deep into like rabbit holes and shit, and I couldn't quite I was like, yo, this shit is wild. Like I was all over the place. I used to listen to Alan Watts videos to kind of help me get centered. Like he got like long ass videos, like 5-hour ass videos and shit. I would listen to them shits like the whole way through. Like I would be driving from state to state, listening to Alan Watts videos. And after after the audio went off, I would just sit in silence for the next few hours, just kind of thinking and fucking contemplating and shit.
So
So,
what they say he did?
so essentially, they promoted him and his brand of Zen Buddhism um, as kind of a bumper of the hippie culture, right? So he brought like a Zen Buddhist kind of thing, right, which kind of went along with the hippie culture. hmm So it's kind of like they say how like yoga and all of that shit is kind of demonic and all that shit, but Alan Watts, his particular brand of Buddhism, like I said, I liked it, right? It it helped me in a tight pinch. All right. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That shit was like I said, I still think Alan Watts is dope. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna start playing some of his shit for like the moment of positivity. He got some dope shit. And I'm kind of pissed off, like I ain't have enough time to grab some today. Otherwise I would have played that shit at the end of today. But so yeah, essentially, the whole Laurel Canyon thing, where a lot of rock music was introduced. So she gets into that. A lot of the bands that came out of it, including Jimi Hendrix, right? Like the Monkees, Frank Zappa. A lot of those people were a product of the whole scene. When I was out in LA, I really wanted to go into Laurel Canyon just to see what it looked like. Right, I've seen it on like pictures and shit, but I wanted to actually go see what it looked like in person. Also, Charles Manson came out of this shit too. Like Charles Manson was a CIA fucking operative. Like they set him up, and like it was that's. I think we talked about this before. We'll talk about it again. No worries. But I think I'm out of time. Yeah. So yeah, I knew we did. I just got to find it. All right. So couple things. If you want to know what book this was, it was called Eyes Wide Open. All right. So I was just reading passages out of Eyes Wide Open all day. Well, for the whole show. Okay. Um, it's by Fiona Barnett. It's MK Ultra heavy. So if you're interested in MK Ultra or child trafficking, like the networks and who's involved and all of that shit, yo, she like her. It's a lot of stuff in the book, whether you agree or don't agree. It's a lot of stuff in the book. A lot of it is stuff we talked about, but it doesn't hurt to kind of get a refresher. Like I said, if you've only heard about it once, then it's cool to kind of check it out. There's a PDF to it. She's got videos up where she talks about a lot of this stuff kind of like out of her mouth. So you don't have to read. I know a lot of you people don't like reading books. So I like the topic, right? A lot of stuff I knew. It gave me some tidbits that I didn't know. And so if you like this kind of stuff, then it's a cool book. All right. Remember Conspiracy University. If so, like this is going to go up on Conspiracy University where it'll just like it's just the cooks, right? So Conspiracy University, the podcast, where I'm putting up just the cooks. So I'm going through all the podcasts and I'm putting up just the cooks. So like I'll start this one at where we started talking about the book, and if we talk about stuff that you want other people to hear, yo, go to Conspiracy University, send them the link to it. No extra stuff. It's just the cooks. Okay. So yeah, remember blackisuniform.com, blackisuniform.com. We'll be back Friday. I don't know what we're gonna do on Friday. Probably something cool. I've been in the chilling mood. Like anytime I like, this is a lot of reading. I've been reading a lot for this. So anytime I do a lot of reading, I'll be wanting to do like some chill shit afterwards. So it's probably gonna have some fun on Friday. Also, a lot of stuff happened. We got to talk about like Trump met with the Prime Minister of Canada, the new Prime Minister. That shit was funny, and so there's a lot of stuff that happened. We'll talk about that shit on Friday too. All right. Like I said, check out the conspiracy cookout for 10-4 family if you want the whole experience. If you just want the cooks, Conspiracy University. Both of my podcasts, check them both out. All right. Other than that, we'll see you guys on Friday. All right, man. We out this joint. Peace.
Young life. Once again,
Oh wait, how come ain't nobody remind me? I forgot to do the positivity.
Oh, positivity.
Oh, positivity.
Y'all just let me go. Wait, time out.
So we just remember.
Y'all ain't remind me of nothing. I would sit back like, yo, I still got this shit on my brain. Let's see. All right, let me see.
Wait, did you ever figure out the cool name you said Robin gave you for it?
No, Robin's right there. She ain't figured it out. How I'm gonna figure it out? I know, right? All right, here we go. I like this one.
I thought it was mop.
A moment of positivity, mop. I don't know. All right, here goes your moment of positivity, yo.
The thing about pain is, like, you feel it right now, it's temporary, man. But later in life, you don't remember the pain. You just remember, like, the glory and the good times, the exhilaration of pride and achievement, man. That outweighs all the pain and struggle. Because if you push through the pain to achieve the pride, you forget about the pain was ever even there. But if you can't push through the pain and the pain stops you and breaks you down, well, then that pain is forever. Because you never got pride to outbalance it.
Pain is temporary. It may last for a minute,
or an hour or a day or even a year. But eventually it will subside and something else will take its place. If I quit, however, it will last forever.
Boom. Apropos. All right, man. We out this joint. Blacksuniform.com. Blackisuniform.com.
Vigor Sport is love and light in a bottle, a CBD infused salve that rids the body of pain, arthritis, carpal tunnel, and muscle aches. There's no job too great for Vigor Sport. Headaches, muscle spasms, and menstrual cramps are a thing of the past. Vigor Sport is the Swiss Army knife of your medicine cabinet. Order your jar today at vigorforpain.com.
Thanks for coming to the cookout, but you need the right gear. Blackisuniform.com, you can get it right here. We talk flat earth and mud floods. You might hear about the dome. No matter the topic, you just need something with the shield on. Blackisuniform.com, where conspiracy analysts are at home. Blackisuniform.com, where conspiracy analysts are at home.